Hey guys, Jon Gums, Dakota Grappler live, going live tonight. Going to talk some college wrestling, maybe a few other things. We'll see how it goes. Tonight, my guests are Nate Humann and Bill Holtan. We talked college wrestling last time, and we could not stop. It was almost an hour and a half we talked, and it just flowed. And these guys know so much about wrestling. Love listening. Like I said, I've really gotten into college wrestling more than I have in several years. And these guys are by far some of the best guys to talk to with this. So that's why I got them on tonight. Really happy you guys could join us. Nate, thank you very much. Bill, I want to thank you too in advance. But we're going to start off right way. I want to talk first, before we get into some of the results from this last weekend, I want to talk about a little bit of the allocations. And it's a little bit different. You know, certain conferences have certain allocations. So I started to look up some of that information. And so it's kind of interesting, and I don't quite understand it. Could you first, Bill or Nate, talk a little about allocations, and then I'll kind of get into the numbers? You know, like certain conferences have certain
right.
ones.
Well, yeah, basically the way it works is they use a kind of a historical data on I think it's based on RPI, which is really kind of the strength of schedule of your. So it's like Nate's wrestling, and his schedule is such and such. They'll use his win percentage along with his RPI, and then the coach's ranking, and then they pick the top
28, 27 usually.
27 to 29. And so if you're say that 8 of those 27 are in the Big Ten. The Big Ten gets 8 automatic allocations.
Now, do they know that number going into their conference?
They do. They came out
about a week, 10 days before conferences.
That's about right. Probably the Wednesday a week and a half. The full week before. Yep.
But so the coaches. There was a little bit of controversy too. I don't know if you guys have talked about that, but. The coaches, just knowing the formula, the coaches can see if their athlete has a good enough win percentage or RPI to qualify. So then that's kind of the Iowa State held like a last chance open so they could get their guys some more matches to qualify for an allocation before the allocations came out. And it's kind of gaming the system. So, but I mean, there's no rules against it. So the coaches definitely know where if their coaches. Like Dresser was on top of it. He knew where his guy stood, and he wasn't going to get an allocation spot for the Big 12. And you want to give your conference an allocation spot. No guarantee that your athlete's going to make it or place that high, but you want to give your conference that extra allocation spot so hopefully your athlete can qualify one of the spots. So, I don't know. That's a little interesting.
The other thing to get your conference an allocation spot does is, let's just say, you get your conference an allocation spot, and there's 6 spots, and you take 7. There's a pretty good chance that you're going to get an at-large bid at the end, right? So there's 29 allocations. There's 4 left that are going to get at-large bids because there's 33 in the bracket, obviously, in the NCAA tournament. So, there is kind of a.
Unless you're from like a weaker conference, obviously, like the Pac-12 or the SoCon, you're probably not going to get one. I was looking at the allocations, and I think the SoCon only had one. Southern Conference only had one qualifier at all of their, or one at-large, or not at-large bid, one qualifier at every weight except for like 1 or 2. So if you didn't win your conference tournament, you're not going to go to more than likely, you're not going to go to nationals because you're probably not going to get an at-large bid from that conference.
Yeah, SoCon. Yeah, you're right. They were They had 2 at 3 weights, but or 4 weights.
They had 14.
Oh, they did. Okay.
14 total allocations.
Okay,
I had 14 allocations from.
Yep, but there's a lot of them. And I mean, it wasn't that long ago the Big 12 was in that spot. I remember not that long ago at 157 pounds, they had one allocation. But that being said, if you're the guy that has that one allocation, and you're you might be a number 10 guy in the country, and you lose in the finals, you will probably get that at-large bid at that point. But it gets tougher when you're in.
If you get hurt or something like that, I mean, it just makes it It makes it more dicey though when you have less.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you don't know. There's no guarantees. You know, we saw some this weekend with Evan Wick at 165 pounds at the Big Tens, but we can talk about that when we get into Big Tens. But yeah, so the allocations, you know, obviously the Big Tens get the lion's share of the allocations, and it makes sense. I mean, they're by far the toughest conference. There is some other conferences that have definitely come up. Big 12, ACC are two conferences that have made huge jumps in the last few years. But what Big Ten's had 79 automatic qualifiers. You know, it's crazy when you're watching them wrestle down to an 11th place. Looking
184, 140, 149, 184.
Yep, they got 10. There, yeah, they got 10 spots, and they wrestled for a true 10th in some of those matches. The Big Ten wrestled a true 10th. So if, so that was pretty wild. It was interesting to me to see, or it is the jumps the Big 12 has made, because it, like I said, it wasn't that long ago. Well, even might have been 2 years ago. I think that Oklahoma State lost like one match in the Big 12 tournament.
They won by like 83 points. I was watching Big 12 final.
Yeah,
That's
so this year, you know, obviously they're still the cream of the crop there, but there was there's a lot of teams with guys in the finals, and a lot of it was really much more competitive tournament than it was.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, if you go just by allocations on strength, of course you mentioned it. Then they were the second highest with 54, and so
they were. Yeah.
I looked at that, and then after that it was real close between the Eastern Intercollegiate and then the Mid American. The Mid American really kind of surprised me. I didn't think that they would get as many allocations as they did. They got 41.
Yeah,
so,
the MAC and the. Nate, help me. Do you remember who that? They just
was it the EWC? Was it the EWC or?
It might have been the Eastern Wrestling Conference, maybe, and the MAC just joined forces here last year, so that became a much bigger conference.
They had, the EWC. I might not be saying that conference correctly. They're one wrestling conference, but it was majority of those PSAC schools or the Pennsylvania. They're actually Division II schools. They compete in Division II in all sports except for wrestling. They're grandfathered in, like Edinburgh and Lock Haven and Clarion and a bunch of those schools. Right. They all joined the MAC, which is a smart move.
Okay.
Just for wrestling.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, definitely. So where do you guys want to start with conferences a little bit? Do you want to go straight to the Big Ten, talk about that, or do you want to leave that for the end, the Big
save that for the end, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. We'll be in the Big Ten. We could be there forever. I guess why would we start in the Big 12? NDSU has their first Big 12 champion ever at Cameron Socorro at 133 pounds, and big match there. I mean, Cam had never beaten Montori Bridges. I'm not sure. I think they may have said he was 0-4 against him, but I think it was more than that. I would have to go back and look at Russellstat, but I think he's lost several times to Bridges, and to beat Montori in the semis and then go on and win the finals. That's a great match.
But Lamont got beat first round. That way had like 8 qualifiers, and Taylor Lamont got beat first round, so that kind of threw that bracket on its head. So Cam marching through the championship side of that bracket, he ended up having the number 8 seed, who was a dang good wrestler in his own right in the finals. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that crazy that as tough as the Big Ten was, how crazy the Big Ten was at 133 pounds, they had 7 qualifiers, and Big 12 had 8.
Right.
So it's just a really consistent bunch of guys there that are all really good. Taylor Lamont lost in the first round and ends up taking 8th. So he qualified. He qualified as a automatic qualifier, but and that Moshe Schwartz is very good. Him and Cam had an overtime match earlier in the year, like 13-11 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. I mean, I thought Cam wrestled a good, smart match. I think he's looking good on his feet. He didn't get as much done on top as he normally gets, but he's a guy at the national tournament that could go on a run, and he gets a wrist tied up, and he could hurt somebody. He can really.
I haven't watched him a lot, but he's one of the leaders in tech fall, so he's just got to get a chance to get on top. I don't know how many guys are going to take bottom against him, just knowing how good he is on top. So it's going to be one of those things that he's got to find a way to get a takedown, probably more than one takedown in most matches too.
Right. Yeah. And he actually has gotten that. We always he's kind of a poor man's Seth Gross, because he's deceptively good on his feet. He surely can. What bothers me sometimes with Cam in the last few years is he's had matches where he was right in them and then ends up
losing it late. Right?
Well, yeah, or picking bottom when it's his choice, and it's just doesn't. It's not his best position. It's not. It's just you're wasting time. I mean, he can be. Might as well pick top where you're in your best position, and he has a better chance to score there than he does anywhere else on the mat. And that 1 point escape doesn't mean that much. I think. I think back to he had a match with Austin Gomez last year in the duel, and I know that's a match he could have won, and ends up getting ridden for quite a long time, and finally gets out and kind of had Gomez wore out, but just could not, couldn't. Gomez picked bottom, and if Cam would have picked top, I think he gets that match. So, or at least gives himself a good chance, and I think that's the kind of stuff at the national tournament, especially. There will be some, he had a really good Southern scuffle. He's not going to hide from anybody. People are probably going to understand what he is and what he does. But, you get a takedown and he gets a wrist. And I'd say the same thing about, Spencer Lee. But, when that those guys are going to do what they're going to do, and they can still, get that wrist tied up, and they just tilt you at will. It's really impressive to me.
Yep.
I'd
like to think that
what happened to Lamont?
He lost to Moshe Schwartz in that quarterfinal round, and I guess I don't know too much more than that. But I think he lost to the Iowa State kid. He lost to the Iowa State kid too.
Todd Small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think Cam will get like a top 12 seed.
I would think he'd be in the top 12. I don't know exactly where that, like I said, that bracket is really tough, but there's two really good guys coming out of the East, wherever
Alvarez is, he'll probably be one spot behind Alvarez, because that's just a common opponent that he's not going to be able to beat from the Big Ten, or head to head that he's not going to be able to beat from the Big Ten. Wherever Alvarez gets, he'll probably be one spot behind him.
Yeah, and I would think, Alvarez is going to be, probably in that 9-10 range, somewhere in there. So, that's kind of a, he'll get seated in there. I mean, a bracket's going to be tough. I mean, there's,
and it's going to be interesting to see how they seed it. That's kind of been a discussion too, because there's an Chaz Tucker from Cornell's undefeated, but he hasn't wrestled that Big Ten schedule, and even the Big Ten, like, how do you seed that? Sebastian Rivera has a loss or two, and Seth Gross, returning national champion. Where do you seed Roman Bravo Young? Roman Bravo Young is a Big Ten finalist, but he can't jump Seth Gross because they're head to head.
Right.
Then,
So, I think
it's interesting.
Nomad from Flow, Bravo. I think he may be pretty close there. I think you're looking at Sebastian Rivera 1. And Chaz Tucker, Gross 2, Tucker 3, and probably Mickey Philippi 4. And then you start sprinkling in, Roman Bravo Young 5, DeSanto 6, and
Iowa would like that draw.
Yeah,
if you're an Iowa fan, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I kind of like to see him on the top. See DeSanto on the top, just because I'd like to see the DeSanto Rivera match, but it doesn't. I think what I saw this weekend, even early rounds, I don't see DeSanto avenging any of those losses. I don't think he beats Gross. I don't think he beats RBY.
He's not dynamic in his finishes. He's pretty. If he wasn't, he was getting to that single leg this weekend, and he was pretty indifferent about how to finish that single leg.
Yeah, I think in the past what's happened is if he doesn't get that, in most of the time he gets that dump, and if he doesn't get that dump, then he goes to that sweep single, and he can get to the leg because he's fairly fearless on taking a shot. He's not afraid to get in there and get past some head and hands, but he surely was not in a hurry to finish. And if you don't finish fast against Seth Gross or RBY, any of these good guys, it's pretty tough. I mean, it's not.
He can shoot that high crotch too, but he's having a hard time getting to that, and he's also really dependent on getting some go behinds from guys just snapping and just getting guys out of position and going behind. And he didn't really get any go behinds this weekend either. It didn't seem that.
Right. Yep.
So what's the word on the final brackets? When do you think they're going to be out?
They'll be out Wednesday. Right, Nate?
Wednesday?
You think so? Wednesday?
I don't know. I guess that'd been.
Yeah. I'm almost 100% sure they'll be out Wednesday. So
okay. Let's stay with the
Big 12. So
yep.
Probably I don't think, and I never went back and researched this, but I don't think NDSU's ever qualified 6 guys for the D1 tournament. So this was a great event for them.
SDSU outscored them.
I know.
Look at the team points. It's kind of funny. I wouldn't actually predicted that the SDSU would beat them, but
Oklahoma put more in the finals.
If you guys don't know that, Oklahoma State 147.5, and then Iowa State second, and then Northern Iowa third. It was really tight, and then you had South Dakota in fourth, and North Dakota fifth, Oklahoma sixth, and then Northern Colorado seventh, Wyoming eighth. So, and then our Fresno with Troy out there down in ninth. But there's 12 teams in this, so I was impressed when I watched quite a bit of this one too, and I was impressed with a couple of the Oklahoma State guys that they're 25-pounder, that Piccinini, or how do you pronounce his name?
Yep, Piccinini.
And then, Piccinini. I was really impressed with him because he's another guy at 25 that's just going to get up there too. And then I was impressed with that Whitlake
at 65.
About 65.
Actually, he's gonna get a pretty good seed. He's he's got 2 losses. He's like 25-2. One loss was to Marinelli. That was actually a fairly close match, and the other one was to the Stanford kid.
In the Southern Scuffle.
Yeah. So
Marinelli had a hard time scoring on him.
Yep. No, he's really good. I mean, we know how good Andrew Fogarty is, and that was really not very close of a match. And Fogarty's tough. I think he's really good. So Whitlake's, I think he's probably ranked 6th or something like that. So, but it'll be, he could get a pretty good seed. He'll probably jump ahead of McFadden. McFadden lost in the finals out there.
There were some upsets in that in the ACC. Just shook it up and just some of those weight classes were.
So, Piccinini looked good. Who else? Well, 133 pounds. We talked about that.
I thought Wyatt Sheets wrestled really well for Oklahoma State too.
Oh, yeah. At 165. What were you going to say, John?
Well, I was going to say, do you think he'll make a top 5 with, I was trying to think of all the different guys at 165 with Joseph, Marinelli, Griffin, Wick. You got, is he going, I don't know, Shields is tough.
Joseph, Marinelli would be 1, Joseph will be 2, Griffin, or maybe Griffin might be 2. It'll be 2-3 between.
Has Griffin lost yet?
He's undefeated.
Yeah. Okay. He's undefeated. It doesn't quite have, he doesn't have quite the same schedule as the Big Ten guys, but so you got quality wins that with Chenzo beating Marinelli, but you got a conference champ and undefeated, so he could end up 2. I think 2 and 3 doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, except for who you wrestle in the quarters, obviously.
Right.
But it'll be those two guys there, and then 4,
Isaiah White probably, or White.
Isaiah White maybe. He was third in the Big Ten. He's got no bad losses. Got a lot of quality wins. He could be. It could be either him or with like 4. I don't know what's going to happen to Evan Wick. He injury defaulted out the very first match of the Big Tens and then didn't wrestle, obviously. So I have no idea what they'll do with how they'll ding him. I would assume he's gonna get seated, but I don't know where.
What did they do with Suriano? I can't remember that now. A couple of years ago.
I think he was the 2 seed.
What?
He might have been the
3.
He might have been the 1 seed.
Suriano that year that he defaulted out for Penn State. No, he was on the bottom side of the bracket.
He might have been the 2 seed. I think he was the 2 seed. I think you're right. He was on the bottom. I think 2 or 3. I think he was 2.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ding him. I don't think they'll ding him too hard for that.
Okay.
The one thing about Suriano was he never had a loss.
He had lost to Gilman. He had lost to Gilman that year. That was
okay. He had lost to Gilman. No other losses with it. Yeah. So Gilman was 1 and Suriano was 2. You're right. Yep.
You guys amaze me with your memory. That's pretty good.
So, yeah, that'll be really interesting what they do there. But I think, you're looking at those guys. McFadden he'll still be seated. He's really good.
He's a bad draw for anybody in the quarterfinals. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Where he's going to be seated. Nobody's going to want to face him in the quarters.
No.
Well, let's talk a couple other North Dakota guys. We had a couple more West Fargo guys qualify, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. 157. Obviously, Jared Frenick took 3rd. That's an automatic qualifier. Jared, I think, ranked around 15th in the country, something like that. Probably won't get a seat at the turn. Well, they seat out to 33, so I shouldn't say he'll get a seat, but. And did he give Sheets a match or not? Or
not,
I couldn't remember.
Right away he did, from what I understand. I didn't see the match. Sheets is wrestling. That's what I said. Like when we were talking about Oklahoma State guys, he's wrestling really well. He gave David Carr all he could handle yesterday. I've been impressed with Sheets. Appears to be a really big 157 pounder.
And he's a beast on top. For a young guy, mat wrestling. Yeah, he's really good. Well, and we talk about 157 there a little bit as just a guy that likes wrestling history a little bit. Two kids of 2 legendary wrestlers wrestling in the finals of the Big 12 tournament was pretty cool. And no matter what happened there, David Carr is special. He's gonna be a force to be reckoned with at NCAA tournaments for the next 4 years. So.
He's just a freshman. Yep.
Yeah.
He has a great. He has I don't know how well he matches up with Hidley, or I think he wrestled.
I think he's a step behind. Those two guys. Between Hidley and
Deacon.
Yeah, and Ryan Deacon from Northwestern, but I don't know. Deacon is really, really something. And Hidley is just so hard to score on that I think a guy like David Carr will struggle trying to get takedowns on him. I think he's going to get slowed down with that underhook but if he gets it rolling, you never know. If you hit it depends what time of the day they hit. Sometimes you get these guys in the quarterfinals and they're kind of fat and feeling great, and boy, they really somebody can get on a real roll right then.
Yeah, you get the David Carr that wrestled at Junior Worlds. That's a scary dude. He beat that Azerbaijan guy Azerbaijani at Junior Worlds who wrestled really well at Senior Worlds. But I don't know. I think if we were making predictions now, I'd say even that Sheets. I think he's got a good chance of making the podium. I really do, after how he's wrestling about probably the last month of the season. He's probably going to be a guy that's seated like 12th or 13th. And if I was competing in a pick'em contest, and I needed a guy at
which we're thinking.
157. If I needed a guy,
if you want to go on again this week,
if I needed a guy at 157 that was seated lower, or you needed your guy that was less than an 8 seed or something like that.
He'd be a good pick.
He'd be the guy. Yeah, for me anyway.
Well, I tell you what, if you want to do a pick'em show, we can get a couple of us and put a friendly wager of a burger or a steak on it, and go weight by weight later this week when the brackets come out.
Yeah, I think when the brackets come out, we should come back on and get a little bit more serious on actual the brackets, because I think that'll be a great discussion, and there's a lot of people that watch these shows that don't follow a lot of college wrestling, and I'm hoping that this kind of helps out. Things to look for, they'll get out and they'll watch the national tournament when it's on, but you don't always know which guy am I looking at? Hey, here's that Wyatt Cheats that Nate Humann thinks is the beast, and he's the kind of guy that could really be a tough spot, and
well, 57 is a barn burner in the Big Ten when Young got beat early by
he's not himself right now.
Not that surprising.
I don't know what's going on there. He lost 3-2 and then he just kind of imploded a little bit there, but
yeah, he's not himself right now. I just think even Iowa, he just say he went 0-2 and Iowa still won by their margin. If he was optimized Caleb Young and he's in the Big Ten finals, that is a one scary team. I just think, I've kind of become an Iowa fan ever since the Terry movie or the Terry film was released, just because you don't really get a good look at those guys, and I've just kind of become an Iowa fan since then. I like their mentality, but I think it'd be cool, not even just as an Iowa fan, but to see a team have 10 All-Americans, just as hard as that is to do. And Iowa had, for a while there, I thought they had a really good chance, and they still have a chance, but that'd be really cool to see again.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
So at 165, Tanner Cook from SCSU qualified, took third. That's a nice placement there. Fresno State placed fifth there at 165. How many qualifiers did they have there?
They got they got 4 total qualifiers. Fresno did. And I can't remember what weights they're at. I should remember that. But at the allocation for 57 you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay, 50. It had 5. It had
5
allocations.
So that's an automatic qualifier for Fresno at 65.
Yep. 65. Nope, 65. Oh, 65. They only have 4.
Oh, only 4. So he probably not getting
4.
Yeah, he's probably not getting it. Yeah, 4. You're right. Yep. Yeah. Then at 174, I think Luke Weber ends up 8th. That's a 57 pounder that bumped up to 65. He wrestled 57 at the Southern Scuffle, and he looks big. He looks pretty big until you see him against guys like Joe Smith or Bryce Start, and he gave Joe Smith a good match. And so I look, if he's going to be probably NDSU 65 pounder next year, and so I think that'll be a good thing. So I don't know. I think that Anthony Mantanona is pretty exciting to watch sometimes, and he could be a guy that does something at the national tournament. Bryce Steyr is probably going to be an All-American. 184. We didn't qualify anybody there from North Dakota or South Dakota.
Yeah, South Dakota State had a kid.
Zach Carlson was in the finals.
I was impressed with him. He fired off a lot of attacks. He just didn't.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, no, he's good. And Taylor Lujan's really good. He's going to be
number 1 seed probably.
He could be. He definitely could be the 1 seed. It'll be interesting how they sort that out. 184. We have probably never talked about it since it happened, but obviously the number 1 guy there all year, probably the shoe-in to win the Hodge, was Zahid Valencia, and he failed the drug test towards the end of the season, and his career's done. So that weight class became
wide open.
Went from not interesting at all to wide open. I mean, there's I don't know, six guys.
This is going to be one of those when we do our pick 'em. Yeah, when we do our pick 'em, this is going to be one of those that could be what's going to win it, because this is
I bet there's 6 guys there that could win that.
And there's probably 12 guys that could make the finals. I mean,
absolutely. Yep. 197 Noah Adams is undefeated. He looks like a beast. I don't know what's good. He'll probably be the 2 seed, I guess, and he'll probably have to wrestle somebody like the Cornell guy in the semis, I would assume. Yeah,
more guys need to go to West Virginia, because they are going to have more good guys need to go to West Virginia, because they are going to have they have great coaches there. Just going to say that right now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Right now,
they're. Well, I mean, they took over a program. The cupboard was pretty well bare. Tim Flynn's a great coach.
Yes.
He's a great guy. Billy went to wrestling camp out there. Was really impressed. Really, it was truly a great experience. He spent, that was when Shop and all those guys were out there. Yeah, Shop and Port and Habit were all there. And yeah, Billy really was impressed with that staff, and so I think you're right. I think that would be. I hope more people do go there. They're in the, for us it's kind of neat because they're in the Big 12, which is weird because they're a long ways away from all of these other schools. But they, Tim Flynn can do a great job, and I hope that. And I think he probably will. I think he's going to. That's a pretty good wrestling country. It's not too far from Ohio. Fairly close to even like Cleveland. So.
Yeah, it's just going to take a little bit. I just root for those guys because of what they did at Edinburgh, and I think they're going to coach some guys up if given the opportunity.
Yep, I agree. Cornell Eaton took 7th there. That was a one where they had 6 qualifying spots. I think he probably
wrestled for true 6th.
Well, that's what I was thinking, but yeah, true 6th. Yes, he did. Yeah, he beat Buchanan for true 6th, and Buchanan actually was the qualifier. So Buchanan will get, he stole the spot from Buchanan. Yeah, you're right. He did. And Buchanan from Wyoming will probably get the at-large bid. So they'll end up with 7 out of that conference at 197. So heavyweight, Brandon Metz qualifies for the tournament for the first time. And so that's good. It's great. It's great to see Brandon there. Brandon's dangerous. He pinned a guy in the finals or in the 7th place match. He could pin anybody at any time, with the exception of probably, the top heavyweights in the country. But maybe, he's fearless. He's been fearless since he was, in 4th grade, and it's fun to watch him get to this stage. So that was another spot where bring up Fresno had Josh Hokett there, took 3rd. I didn't see any of his matches at this tournament, so it'll be I've got to see him wrestle very much this year. His best tournament of the year last year was the NCAA tournament, where he took 3rd at 197, and very possibly could be his best tournament again this year. He is super athletic. He's probably getting bigger every, as the season goes on. Last year he was a 97-pounder. Played football right up through January or into January this year, and now he's wrestling full time until the combines, when he goes trying to make it to the league.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like I said, NDSU with 6 qualifiers is great. South Dakota State had Noah Adams beat South Dakota State's Tanner Sloan in the finals. So Sloan obviously took 2nd there, and he's really good. And Noah Adams just dominated that match, and that we're gonna see a guy like Sloan probably be a multiple-time All-American from South Dakota State, and he's just a freshman, redshirt freshman this year, and I'm kind of excited to watch how he develops over time. He was out for a little while this year, injured too, but he's a talented guy, Iowa kid. But so that's what I have from Big 12.
South Dakota State did a nice job this year coaching up some of their guys. I was impressed in the finals. All those guys scrapped. I was especially impressed with Henry Pohlmeyer at 149. He wrestled Bula Wallen from Oklahoma State. And there was one sequence where he kind of got an escape and he dove right in on a reattack where he probably wouldn't have had to. And he got Llewellyn went behind him.
Funny.
And that I think that kind of got him. But up until that point, he was wrestling a really smart match. And I think he had lost to him 10-0, they said on the broadcast earlier in the year. And he closed that match. It was a lot closer match this time. He's another dark horse pick at 149 because, I don't know. That granted, it was in the Bono era, but they had some guys that were seeded like that 9 through 14 range, that the Koshers, and there was another couple guys that they snuck through All-American. And I think Henry Pohlmeyer is going to be in that same boat at 49. He could scare some people in their round of 16 and the round of 12.
He's a tough kid. I mean, I watched him wrestle a lot of matches over the years, and he's just hard-nosed, and he's a good scrambler. He's getting better, in those positions all the time. And, I guarantee he comes through most matches. His head's all beat up when he gets to the end. I mean, he's not afraid to mix it up. So I'm a big Hank Pohlmeyer fan.
Well, awesome. Okay, so where do you want to go next?
Well, we could talk about the EWIA a little bit if we want to. That's kind of the Ivy League schools. Obviously, when you looked at the qualifiers, you could see the allocations. That is another conference that's really come on with Cornell, Princeton, Lehigh. That they end up with a lot of allocations.
West Point had a good year this year too. They got scooped up some more for that league too.
Yep. Yeah. So EWIA had 44 qualifiers allocations. So that's, they had 7 at 125 pounds. So that goes to show you, 6 at 197. So, that's one there. We got 125. Pat Glory's I guess he'll probably have to be the 2 seed. At 125 pounds out of Princeton. We asked before who's ever going to touch Spencer Lee, and I don't think anybody can. But it's going to be somebody. If there's anybody that can push him, it'll be a Pat Glory or a Piccinini from Ohio State.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. The 3 and 4 when they do come out with the brackets, do they put Piccinini or do they put Jack Mueller? Jack Mueller lost in the ACC finals. I would probably say Jack Mueller just because he's a returning NCAA finalist, unless that has nothing to do with the criteria. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They both only have one loss, right?
Piccinini has more matches and probably a higher. I don't know. That'll be interesting.
It will be interesting.
As you do not want to be the 4.
I think Mueller will be the 4. I think Pitch will be the 3.
Think so?
No, you don't want to be the 4. I guess if you want. I guess if you're Jack Mueller, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You've already been in the finals, so you're wanting to win it anyway. So
yeah,
you got to beat Spencer Lee to win it, and so it doesn't make he probably has the best attitude there. And Pitch is not afraid to wrestle Spencer Lee. He's pinned him once and been beaten by him multiple times. He's going to go out there and wrestle the way he wrestles. And I think he has a pretty good feel of him. He just can't stop what he's going to do. So that's at 25-33. Chaz Tucker from Cornell. We kind of talked about that. I don't know, get a whole lot more deeper into that weight class, but that was, that's an awful good 33-pounder. He's undefeated. He's the only undefeated guy in the bracket at 133, as much as we've talked about how good that weight class is. 141.
I think they had 3 or 4 qualifiers at that weight. One of them was Cornell qualified. They're Boston.
5
Penn,
qualifiers there.
Doug Zapp from Penn qualified too. He's a good wrestler. I don't know who won it actually. I don't know.
That's a good question. We should look and find that out. But yeah, that's
Tribus 141 at Nate from Navy, Cody Tribus.
And that's a name I don't recognize.
Tribus, Trybas, right? Try.
Yep.
Yeah. Tribus.
Yep.
Yep. No, that's right.
And then,
yep. Good.
Casimir from Columbia, and then they had that Bauman or something from Cornell. I paid attention to Cornell quite a bit. They had that Noah Bauman who wrestled real well.
Okay.
But I think he placed about 3rd.
And then
you said.
Yeah, Tribus, I think is what I think that's how they say it. But yeah, it doesn't matter. He's not listening. The 149, I think is Matthew Kolodzic had a few close matches there, but he wrestles a lot of close matches and he wins almost all of them. I think he's instantly a contender at 149 pounds. I don't know where he'll get seated. He hasn't had a ton of matches. He's probably got.
He's a bad draw. He's a bad draw in the quarters too. He's probably only got like 12 matches. I bet you that's probably where he'll be seated, is at like 10 through 12 range too.
I think he'll have a hard time getting above 6, but he could be between 6 and 12 there somewhere, just because he's obviously
returning All-American.
Yeah, he hasn't lost. So he's going to have a high win percentage. He doesn't have a lot of quality wins probably because he hasn't seen a lot of guys. They sent him to like the Matttown Open or something the weekend that they dueled, or weekend before they dueled Cornell. And he's just really good. He's a good, smart wrestler. He doesn't, and actually he's good in a lot of, he's good in a lot of positions. I think I see him beating a guy like Lugo. I mean, they wrestle maybe similar. What's that?
I hate to hear that.
Yeah, I'd hate to hear that, but
yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, Lugo's hard for some people, like a Brayton Lee, who's gonna wear a lot of people out and score points, and Lugo's gonna keep them close for the most part and eke out those wins. And I think that's the kind of match that Kolodzic wins. So
could hurt. So I want to see him at a 3 seed or a 6 seed.
Yeah, he'll be higher than that. But yeah. The worst thing that could happen probably there is if he's the 8th or something,
Right.
But which isn't out of the question. And Lugo surely could win the match, obviously. But if he's one that he's one, if you had to, I don't know. We'll have to see where he gets seated. But yeah, if you have to pick one that if he's above 8, and we were talking, before about someone that's seated high that you in a pickup contest, he'd be a pretty easy grab. But
yep.
So is Lugo Sasso 1-2?
Yeah, I'd say if that's right.
I don't know. Austin O'Connor. Austin O'Connor has one loss to Lugo.
I would say O'Connor jumped Sasso personally.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
Lugo won Midlands. Lugo won Midlands with O'Connor in it, and Sasso has 3 losses.
Yep.
So
okay.
He got pinned by Moore, who's on the shelf for Virginia Tech.
He got pinned by Moore, who's
who else did he? And then who else did he lose to?
He lost to Brayton Lee.
Okay. Yeah, and at the Cliff Keen. Yep. And he beat Brayton Lee too.
Yeah, he beat Brayton Lee too. Yeah, he avenged those those losses, but there's
either way that's the 2-3. Either way, that's the 2-3 there probably. I would say.
Yeah, I think so too.
Awesome.
49, 57. I don't know. I can't.
Humphrey from Lehigh. Humphreys from Lehigh, then not Kennedy Monday, but Quincy Monday. Quincy Monday, and then third was who was third? Another
Marcus
good
Hartman.
Another
Marcus
good
Hartman from Army West Point.
Oh, boy, he's good.
That's who Jared Franick beat for his cadet national title in Fargo. Marcus Hartman. That was who Franick beat. Wow. Yep. Interesting there.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yep.
And he was in the Hartman was in the Midlands final.
He looked great at the Midlands.
Yep.
Actually, I don't think he was a starter before the Midlands.
Nope.
And after the Midlands, he's been the starter ever since. So,
yep.
He's
a bad draw too. All those guys. Everybody's a bad draw.
There's not a lot of easy. There's not a lot of easy
57s. Ones. There's gonna be a lot of broken hearts at 57. I got a feeling.
Yeah. That's a weight class where there's a lot of close guys. Outside the top 3 there's a lot of guys that are within 2 or 3 points of each other. I feel like that's a tough one to pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me just look at something here. Oops.
Is David Carr then Iowa State's best wrestler in the tournament?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He might be
just being a true freshman. I was thinking, I was thinking of all the good Iowa State wrestlers in the past, and he's the only guy I can really come up with this year that's really a stud. So.
And Austin Gomez is out for them, so that's one of their other better wrestlers. He's didn't wrestle this season, and Jared Deegan, we didn't talk about him really either. He's a returning All-American, but he's in a shoulder harness, and I just wonder how much that affects him. I was just on Flow, was it over the weekend or last week sometime? And he was drilling with Derek St. John like before one of their duels, and they were just warming up, and you could tell his shoulder like slipped out, and it's like all he did was barely touch St. John's leg, and his shoulder fell out of the socket, and he had to bend over and let it go back in. It's like, oh man, one tough.
And the way that he wrestles, those things, I mean, he gets extended a lot. That can't be.
I remember watching him. We used to go to the Cowboy tournament out in Miles City. We went we went every year, but the whole varsity didn't always go. But my junior and senior years, he was out there, and he wrestled a kid from Glendive in the finals, Dylan Tennant, if you remember Dylan Tennant. Dylan Tennant was a good wrestler, and it was a great match in the finals of the Cowboy. But Jared Deegan was the same height as he is now, and he was wrestling 132. So it was interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. 165 at EWIA. How many qualifiers did they get? Like 4? Is that right? Do you have that there?
Yeah.
See,
I got it right here. They got
6. Yeah, so they had Pam Skidmore from Navy was a champion there. So it's really interesting when you look at these schools and how, I mean, there's a lot of that conference has really been. It's going to be dominated next year by Cornell, I think, and Princeton will still be really good. But when you get that weight class there, you got Navy first, Bucknell second, Harvard third, Army, Hofstra, Princeton. I mean that's a pretty good bunch of schools there. So I don't know that anybody in there is going to do a lot of damage at the tournament. The schedule could be in there, but that is a really, really good weight class nationwide. So you go up to 174, and here's a guy that wouldn't shock anybody if he ended up being a finalist. Jordan Kettler from Lehigh. Tough to score on. Can score some points. Doesn't win a lot of high scoring matches, but he's a really good wrestler. He'll be somewhere in the. I mean, he'll be on the podium for sure. I don't see him beating.
Has he lost or is he undefeated?
I think he is undefeated. I don't think that he wrestled in the duel against Penn State. So I think he is undefeated.
I don't think there's a chance that he gets the 1 seed, though. Maybe he would.
Kemmerer? I don't think he's getting Kemmerer.
Well, Hall will be the 1. And
and
I think Yeah, I think Kemmer is the 2. I think you got coaches' rankings gonna kind of leave those guys where they're at. I mean, switch the top 2, and then he'll probably be the 3.
That'll be interesting semifinal.
That's another tough match.
Yeah, he's hard. Like I said, he's solid.
Not many guys get to his it's hard. He is hard to finish on.
Him and Mark Hall have had a number of close matches.
1 or 2 point matches, yeah.
Yep. So over the years, so that that's Ben Harvey from Army took 3rd, and he's really good. But I think that your guys that are going to be on the podium out of that bracket are going to be, just Cutler from Lehigh.
Well, I tell you what, you mentioned that Mark Hall. I know it's out of a different conference, but that guy out of Purdue gave
Dylan
Hall a match.
Leidy, yeah.
Okay, Leidy. I remember I watched that match.
Yep.
And
he's really improved
I
a
tell
lot.
you what, he's a kid that keeps things tight. I tell you what, I was impressed the way he wrestled. He could be a tough guy for somebody.
He is. I expected that to be a tough match, and it was. He is good. He's a very good
senior, and he has never All-American. I think he was around to 12 last year. So that's a guy that you kind of like me. I'd cheer for a guy like that just because I know how good of a year he's had, and he probably end up in the round of 12 in a really tough match, and that's the guy that I'd be pulling cheer for.
Yep. 184, Louis Dupre came out as the champion there from Binghamton. Dupre's good. He's one of the half a dozen guys that could win this weight class.
He beat he lost to Hidley from North Carolina State, but he also did he beat him or
I think he beat Hidley also.
They're 1-1. So
yeah. So he's he's tough. He's really good. Tanner Harvey from American was 3rd. That's another really good wrestler. Another one that I think is really good that ended up 6th here. Did he qualify? 184. EIW
4.
No, they only got 4, so he's not in it yet. That Travis Stefanik is really good, and he will not get in the tournament. Obviously, I mean there's not enough at large bids to get him there. So, but Dupre's good. He's one that I would watch for to be somewhere in the mix in that weight class. 197.
One of those 12 guys that could make the finals.
Yep.
Yeah.
197. Your
Darmstadt.
2020 national champion, Ben Darmstadt.
Yep.
He's
2020. Picking him.
Yeah. I actually think that there's nobody. If there's anybody in the country that could give you call him Kyle Snyder, but
Colin Moore
a match, it would be Ben Darmstadt. I just think it's that, but he was at he started the season. Noah Adams, and that you're going to see Adams would be and I think Darmstadt should end up being the 3. He started the season at 184, so he's got a lot of matches and he's got some losses at 184.
Okay.
I think he'll end up being the 3, but you could end up with a Darmstadt Noah Adams semi.
One guy there too that was in the EIWA that was ranked really high was that Brucky was ranked really high the whole season, and he lost in like the quarterfinals. I want to believe he had to wrestle all the way back. What did he end up taking? I guess I never saw. Third. He came back to 3rd.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. The precedes for that conference had him the 1, and Darmstadt the 4. And Darmstadt actually had just beat him in the duel, so it was like.
Darmstadt had some bad losses.
Yeah. So, and he had him at 184, and I don't know, he may have had another one, or 2 at 97 when he first came up.
Yep.
But he's looking pretty good now. He looked really good. I watched him on Friday. He looked really good. I don't see him beating Colin Moore, but he sure got a chance. And if he's the 3. Him and and the West Virginia kid will be a really good match. So,
Okay.
heavyweight,
Jordan
Jordan Wood from Lehigh is probably Lehigh's best wrestler.
Somebody say the guy from Harvard's name, because I can't say it.
I can't either. He's from Harvard, though.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to try it, even if he's not listening.
I'll give it a shot.
Yaroslav Slavikowski.
Between the two of you, it sounded perfect. Yeah. When you say it over each other like that, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Jordan Wood will be on the podium. He's probably the only one in that bracket, though, as deep as this weight class is. I think you're going to have placers from multiple conferences, with most of them coming out of the Big Ten. So, but Jordan Wood is really good. He could beat somebody like Cassiope, or he's not going to beat Paris, or Mason, or Gable, but he could surely give Cassiope or some of those other guys in that 3rd through 6th area, Tanner Hall. He can give those guys a pretty good match. And
I was impressed with Jensen from Nebraska, from Mobridge, right? They're from Mobridge.
Yes, they're from Mobridge. Yep.
He wrestled well.
Yes.
And not to get ahead of ourselves, but he could be like a round of 12 dark horse kind of guy if he gets the right round of 12 match. That clip where he was wrestling in the Conci semis, he was wrestling Cassiope, and he had that single leg, and Cassiope had to flip him in the air. That was pretty cool to watch heavyweights wrestle.
I tell you what, that David Jensen only got half time this year because they had another good heavyweight. I wasn't sure if he'd get to wrestle in the Big Tens.
Yep.
And I saw that he was in there. Yep.
That last
was like a 195 pounder in high school too. I heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, he was. No, he was a heavyweight.
Was he? Okay.
He wrestled. Yeah, he was a heavyweight. And then, I tell you what, I watched the match between him and Mason Paris, and Paris made him look like a rag doll and pinned him in a cradle, and I was going, oh man, that's when I thought Jensen probably wouldn't make the team come Big Tens. That was only 3 weeks ago or so.
Yeah, that Nebraska wrestled well, but that's getting ahead of herself here a little
bit. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It always comes back to the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Always. We could come back to that all night.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, well, that's good for that one. I tell you what, that's a good wrap-up, guys, on that one, because I tell you what, that's a conference that I completely miss out during the year and don't get to see anything. But then you start recognizing the names from All-Americans and from, these other tournaments.
You can usually bank on that conference having at least 2 or 3 good wrestlers, at least, that have a really good chance to make the podium. I mean, just a little bit I've watched.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They've had a lot of them over the years.
Okay. How about a little bit about the Pac-12?
Nothing to report besides that Zahid did not wrestle. Honest to goodness.
Yeah, I think the Pac-12 is it's not that, Stanford's got two really good guys.
Real Woods and Griffith.
Real Woods and I
was thinking Arizona State. What do they have?
I don't know. No, I don't know if they'll even. Well, they have good wrestlers. I shouldn't be.
I was looking earlier. I did have their qualifiers here. Let me see if I can.
125 they qualified. 157 they qualified.
We'll just make it quick because I know in the Pac-12 they had 1 or 2 at in all the allocations. And I knew he'd make it quick because they got a grand total of 16 allocations with 3 at 197.
I'm sure that Shields made it in too for Arizona State. After I saw they only had 15 qualifiers, I really didn't look. Anthony Valencia made it for them too. He won.
Yeah, he was the champ. Yeah.
Ja'Cory Teamer won for them at 157. They won at 197 with
I always try to keep track of Oregon State. We can mention that news out of that conference. That's why I was kind of bringing that one up.
Yeah, Jim Zaleski's out as coach at Oregon State. They only qualified 2 wrestlers.
Two, I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know if they have anybody coming, that could be an auto qualifier. That's a team I guess I used to pay a little closer attention to, and it's kind of fallen off my radar the last couple of years, probably since Troy left, and there hasn't been any kids there for a couple of years. But yeah,
they have 6 schools. Would they think of joining another conference?
How about we bring some of those programs back, and then they can just keep.
That's a better idea. Yeah, let's get the.
Right. I just was going to say this when we were talking about how Fresno State was doing. Looking at it when they first came in, looking at it when Fresno State brought their program back, it was kind of something like, wow, I'm surprised they didn't join the Pac-12. Well, this is a prime example of why they're in the Big 12 and not the Pac-12. So,
right.
Kudos to them for having the foresight to see how the Big 12 is improving with the addition of those teams. Did Arkansas Little Rock wrestle at the conference tournament?
I think did they qualify one? At 141 probably. Let me look here. They had a guy that actually was their very first signee. Let's look and see if I can find that here.
Isn't that interesting too? Okay, so Arkansas Little Rock decides they want to start a program from scratch. The first year that they have a program there, and Fresno State, same thing. The first year that they're eligible to have a program, they can have guys compete at nationals. But then you have a Cal Baptist, or in a couple years an Augustana, or whatever team you want to say, or NDSU when they transition. SDSU, same thing.
Right.
But they have to sit out 4 years before they're eligible to compete D2 to D1. That does not make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, just silly.
No.
I could see if you move down that you'd have to sit out, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
How many?
Another time for another.
Pac-12 at 141 pounds. They just had two qualifiers. Yeah, I was gonna say Connor Ward from Little Rock. I knew that he ended up wrestling for third. He took fourth, but I was kind of hoping maybe he qualified. But yeah,
they must not have got qualifiers.
No, and he. I would assume he would be their only one that was close.
How did Paul Bianchi wrestle for them this year?
Paul Bianchi,
33.
He was up and down. He was actually at that Iowa State last chance qualifier.
Oh, really?
But he did wrestle. He did wrestle matches actually. He was actually the 2 seed at the Pac-12s, and lost in the finals. So
just about made it.
Did they have at 133? Did they only have
just one?
Yep. No. Yep. Just one. Yep. So he lost to Oregon State guy in the finals, 5-3. So let's just look here. Rolfing from Bakersfield has had a really good year at 149 pounds, and he won the tournament there. Beat Vandermeer from Stanford in the finals. Those are both awful good wrestlers at 149, and that's only got one qualifier. So I don't know if
Vandermeer might get a. That's one where they might get a wild card there.
Yep. 57. Ja'Cory Teamer from Arizona State won it over Tyler Ishens from Stanford, who's originally from Anoka, Minnesota. He was a Rumble champ. And he so did they how many qualifiers there did they have?
He made it. Ishens made it.
Man, good. Yeah, I've watched Ishens wrestle a number of matches this year. Well, there's another one there. I guess you guys probably never ran into him, but Joe Champagne, he wrestled for the Gophers for a minute, and actually he was Billy ran into him at a couple opens when Billy was a redshirt. He was redshirt for the Gophers, and he is at Little Rock also, but he took fifth. Just the name I recognized, guy that's wrestled in the Bison Open and the Daktronics. 65, like I said, Griffith won it. He's 28-0. He beat Shields in the finals. Shields took third. That's I think that's Griffith's second win over Shields this year. So Shields is a quality opponent. They both qualify.
Yep.
Bless you. Anthony Valencia took first over Jared Hill from Stanford. I think they had one qualifier at 74. There won't be any wild cards there.
Extra.
184, another Bakersfield kid. So that's Manny Rivera, former Bison assistant coach, is the coach at Bakersfield. And they got another champ there.
That was Zahid Valencia's spot.
That was Zahid Valencia's spot in there. The Arizona State's took third there. They only had one qualifier, so it's just going to be the Bakersfield kid there. And actually, that Colt Doyle from Oregon State, he was the 1 seed, and he lost in the finals. He could be a guy that gets a wild card at 184. He's 19-9. Cordell Norfleet from ASU at 197. He bonused his way through the tournament. He's pretty solid. Beat Nathan Traxler from Stanford in the finals. And then Lane from Cal was third. So, there's your 3 qualifiers there. And that Norfleet's good and Traxler's good. Those are 2 guys that are, will be round of 12 to guys that'll be on the podium. And then Tanner Hall from
Arizona State.
State is a champ at 285. He graduated a couple of years before Nate.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. That's probably pretty accurate.
Somebody is saying he graduated in like 2012 or 2011. High school.
High school.
Yeah.
So he was a 2-year Mormon mission. He could have taken his second Olympic redshirt this year. That's how long he's been in college. So, and I think he may have even been qualified for one. So, but he's good. He's a guy that's a previous All-American and surely could
make third. He hasn't been able to do it again.
And that weight class just keeps getting better every year. So it's not that he's getting worse. Those guys just keep getting better all the time. So they only had one qualifier there, and probably all they're going to end up with. So, some very good wrestlers out of there. I don't think you're going to see any champs come out of the Pac-12 this year. You would have, obviously, if Zahid was still there. They have 6 teams in the conference. Little Rock took 6. That's good to see that team out there competing. If you just want to listen to kind of a neat listen, Jason Bryant did a podcast, a serial type podcast with kind of the start and all the way through that up to their first duel with Little Rock. Really neat to hear the story, how they got started, how where everything came from, where the coaching staff and Connor Ward being their first recruit. He was on campus last year as the only guy on the team. He just competed in open tournaments. He's a Kansas kid. So yeah, pretty neat pretty neat listen.
Let's go to the Mid-American. How about that one?
That's Missouri.
That's another. Yep, that's the one with. If you look at I looked at some of the results earlier today. Let's look at team scores first, because we had Missouri winning it, and second Central Michigan, and then third Northern Illinois, and then Rider, Lock Haven, Old Dominion, which we talked about a little bit earlier this year. They got a couple good wrestlers, but then I was amazed that they had 15 schools. I didn't realize that the Mid-American was that many teams.
Like
Borough, of course,
changed last year. I think last year was it last year or this year or the first year? I think last year was the first year that they.
Yeah, I think it's this year. Honestly, this year's the first year.
Yeah, I think I knew it was either they made the change last year, going into this year, but there's a lot of you think about how lucky those those wrestlers are, those high school wrestlers that are in that Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, all those guys, Southern New York, upstate New York, guys that can go to places like Lock Haven and Ryder and Bloomsburg, Clarion, and I mean, there's just a ton of opportunity out there. And so that's it. And this, a lot of those are in this conference now, so that's pretty cool. And that Drew Hildebrandt from Central Michigan took first at 125 pounds. His sister's Sarah Hildebrandt, who's one of the top women wrestlers in the country, in the world, actually.
Okay.
So kind of neat to see that. Drew Hildebrandt's awful good.
Yeah, I'd say he's got an outside shot at making the podium at that 6th through 8th place.
I would say so. Yep, they only qualified 3 out of that, so that gives you Killing Cardendale from Old Dominion, and then a Lock Haven kid, Luke Werner. Probably not going to qualify anymore. 133. They got 5 qualifiers. So Tim Rooney from Kent State was your champion. Alan Hart from Missouri is runner-up, and then Central Michigan. Good to see that qualifier there from Central Michigan. Andrew Martin, Derek Spann of Buffalo, and DJ Feldman of Lock Haven. I'm not real familiar with most of those guys. I've seen Rooney wrestle in a couple tournaments, but that they're probably not going to be a placer out of that.
Buffalo
bunch.
is coached by John Stutzman, a former BSC wrestler.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a funny story about, I guess he hitchhiked to Fargo and Jeff Schumacher recruited him to wrestle at BSC, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that story? That was kind of interesting.
Yep, I have heard that story. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he hitchhiked to Fargo, and then he just wrote, I don't remember the whole story, but after he went to Fargo, he made it out to Bismarck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot.
And he was a coach at Bloomsburg before this. He coached, Richard Perry was an All-American for him at Bloomsburg. Richard Perry, who was on the national team ladder, and then he had that unfortunate injury a year or 2 ago. But he was an All-American for Stutzman at Bloomsburg, and then I think after he got Richard Perry to that All-American finish, I think he went to Buffalo, which that could be a good. I mean, he does a lot with not a lot there too. That could be a good program. He's put some guys on some age class, U23 and junior world. I think U23 world teams. He's put a couple guys on, so he can coach them up if given the talent. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. 141 pounds. Dresden Simon from Michigan. He's from Central Michigan. I mean, he was your champion at 141. They got 5 qualifiers here. So, and actually, they've got 5 good guys. Dresden Simon is first. Evan Cheek of Cleveland State, another qualifier. Grant Leith of Missouri is
neck
dangerous.
Brace. He wore his neck brace.
He's really good. Sedarian Perry of Old Dominion is slick, fast.
Both those guys at 3rd and 4th are returning All-Americans. And they didn't even make the finals.
And Kyle Shoup from Lock Haven was 5th.
Returning All-American too. Yep. Guy's a hammer on top. That guy's a hammer on top. Watch out for it. He was like a 14 seed last year, I want to say.
Yeah.
And he teched 3 guys at the national tournament with a tilt, I believe.
Tilt. Yep. 149. They have 5 qualifiers. So first place is another guy that's going to be in the mix for a title hunt here. Brock Mahler from Missouri. He's 28-1.
Does he jump Sasso? He's got a
bad loss. Did he lose to Josh Jensen?
Jaron Jensen, yeah. He'd be the number 1 seed, except for he has a bad loss because he's returning All-American. He'd be the 1 seed if he had not lost to. Where's Jensen from?
Utah Valley, I think.
Utah Valley. Okay. Yeah.
He beat he beat Boo Llewellyn from Oklahoma State, who obviously is another one that is going to be in the mix there. Yep. Brock Zackrell of Clarion, another really good wrestler. He's 22-4 going into the tournament. He took second. Alec Hagan of Ohio.
Zackrell is another one of those guys that's never placed, and he's a senior, but I wouldn't want to wrestle him, and he'd be a guy that I'd be rooting for to win a round of 12 match just because he's been really solid kid. I think he won he won a junior nationals one year, and just hasn't quite put it all together yet to make it to All-American finish, but he's good.
Deshaun Williams of Southern Illinois. Edwardsville is fourth, and Colton DeBlasi of George Mason is fifth. DeBlasi is another guy that's redshirt senior. Has got 32 wins on the year. A guy that knows how to win a lot of wrestling matches. So hey, they're going to be competitive at the tournament, probably. But the top couple of guys there are really good. So 157. How many did they qualify there? 157. They've got six.
Two.
Six.
Yeah, six.
Yeah. So that shows you how deep that weight class is at this place. Delvecchia from Ryder is first. He's a redshirt senior, 30-2. Obviously,
can be a top
solid.
5 seed probably.
Yep. Jared Jockus from Missouri is a really good wrestler, strong, athletic. Then Larry Early of Old Dominion is a guy that could beat, a lot of the guys probably underneath those top two. And he actually has beaten Hidlay in the past. Beat Hidlay last year, early in the year.
I don't think that'd happen anymore. I
don't think so either. But
it's happened, yeah.
But it's happened. He's a redshirt senior that doesn't have anything to save it for. So he's very good. He could get on the podium.
Justin Ruffin is good too. Good kid too from
Edwardsville. Okay, and then Logan Parks from Central Michigan, and Zach Carson from Ohio kind of rounds that out there. So they've got a couple of guys in there. I think that they're going to challenge for podium spots. At 165, that's one that they have two. So Troy Keller of Buffalo was first, and Izzy Olejnik of Northern Illinois was second. Actually, Peyton Mako was third.
Does he have enough good wins to make it to the
tournament?
He's
25-12. I would say there's a chance. There's a possibility he could be in there. I kind of have a list here.
That's he's an Askren.
Yep, he's a Wisconsin.
Askren to Missouri pipeline.
Yep. Let's see here. 165. Yeah, he did he was a qualifier there. So
okay.
I mean he was
he got a spot stolen.
He earned them a spot, but then he was probably the 2 seed coming in there, I suppose. And so he probably will get a spot. Yeah, he probably will. So we go to 174. Let's see here.
Connor Flynn from Missouri was up there. He didn't win it.
He took third. Yeah. Jared Segrist from Lock Haven was first. Andrew McNally of Kent State was second. Connor Flynn. How many did we? I didn't look and see what they get for
4.
They get 4. So Kenny Moore from Northern Illinois was fourth. So that's kind of your 4 there. I don't think they're going to probably see another one coming out of that one. Their 5th place guy was Dean Cherry from Ryder, 23-8, redshirt senior. Probably going to be just outside. But let me just look and make sure I didn't look at that wrong. Let's see, 174.
It's also worth mentioning, I think that the NCAA asks the 34th and the 35th guy to come to Minneapolis and make weight, because it has happened in the last couple of years that somebody inevitably misses weight or fails skin checks, and they don't want to throw a forfeit in there if they don't or whatever you want to.
Right.
They put somebody in there. They have somebody there. So some of these guys, will still go and just might not get to wrestle.
Right. Yeah, they don't. Actually, Oh, actually, you know what? The 5th place guy there
got Trevor a spot
Allard, he was the one that got the spot for him at from Bloomsburg. That's interesting. So he would be he's 24-4, had a bad tournament. That's I should easy for me to say. 184. Yeah, he was the 1 seed. Wow. 1 seed took 5th. I wonder. So that would be
so who gets the spot then? The 4th place finisher or the 4th place finisher or the 5th place finisher? Because if they didn't wrestle, or maybe they did it. That's interesting.
That is very interesting. You know,
because then I heard yesterday too. You know, a lot of these conferences like Cordell Eaton took 7th place, so he wrestled a true 6th place match. But then the ACC, they don't wrestle true matches or whatever you want to say. They don't whatever you were. So if you're on the outside looking in, it's too bad.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to watch that. We'll have to remember that when we go back.
Okay, remember 184. Yep.
They did wrestle true 6th at this tournament. I can see that, but he was 5th. I mean, it was. So yeah, he lost. Oh, he did the semi slide. Well, not really. He took 5th, not 6th, but he lost in the semis. To the Northern Illinois kid. Britt Wilson. Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. See what happens there. Let's go back to 197. Oh yeah, they had some qualifiers here.
Wyatt Coling is Missouri's starter.
Let's see.
I don't keep up with this conference like I should. Probably quite.
4 qualifiers at 97.
So Coling didn't place in the top 8. So let's see.
Really? Holy cow!
Let me look here. Yeah, he was their qualifier. I kind of think he might have been the 1 seed. No,
he didn't place in the top 8.
Oh, he was the 3 seed. He lost in the first round. Then he won a match. And then he won another match, but then he lost there. Yeah, he lost one. He was one match short of placing.
Wow.
And he was one that qualified with spot, but he will not get one.
Nope.
Not that way. Yeah, he was
he's right there. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of good wins, but he can wrestle anybody fairly tough, it seems like.
He's 20-7. I mean, he was the 3 seed out of that. That's interesting. So, I don't. Yeah, they probably end up not taking the. I guess it's so hard to tell now. With how many? I didn't look and see what. I think they had like 29. And I think there was 29 allocated at this weight, if I remember right. So anyway, first place was Greg Bolsack from Clarion. He's solid. He's he's a 27-5 redshirt junior. Ethan Laird of Riders, another solid wrestler. That was actually a medical forfeit in the final. So Gage Brown of Northern Illinois was 3rd, and Landon Pelham of Central Michigan was 4th. Colton McCracken was 5th. 24-16 junior, probably not going to get a spot. So that was 197. 285. Who's the top guy there? I bet you know. Nate?
Stencil.
Matt Stencil. Yep. Yeah, Stencil actually, I think, beat Mason Parrish about 3 times last year.
And he was the only qualifier, though, from that conference, right? I want to say. He's the only automatic qualifier.
Is he the only one?
I believe so.
You're probably right.
They get 4.
Mid-American, they get 4.
Oh, they did? Okay.
4.
Mid-American has 4. So Matt Stencil's 1. John and Stencil's good. He's 30-4. Wins a lot of close matches. With good guys. I mean, he can beat.
Pins a lot of people too.
Yeah. John Spalding of Edinburgh is second. Jordan Ernest of Ohio is third. Ryan Cloud of Riders fourth. I think those are probably the guys that earned the spots. Actually, there's a Clarion wrestler that earned a spot there that did not place. So and it didn't place in the top 6 or 8. I mean, so so they're 4. So they're 5th place wrestlers. Matt Irie of Northern Illinois, he's 1911, probably not getting a spot. So
yeah,
that's your Matt.
The only one I see getting on the stand. Yeah.
I think he has a real good chance. He'll be in the round. He'll be in the blood round for sure. Just a matter of where if he can get through there. So that is all I have for the match.
Well, that's pretty good. Okay, well, we're hitting close. Got one other conference here we could talk. We could go Southern for just a couple seconds, and then we go to the Big Ten pretty much.
Well, I'd rather talk to the ACC probably than the Southern.
No. Yeah, I forgot. We forgot the ACC. Yeah, let's talk ACC.
Campbell had a dual meet at the SoCon.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I'm a big Campbell fan, and I'm glad that they, Kerry Colat's got things rolling there, and I think he feels really comfortable at Campbell. It's a small school. He's doing well. He keeps growing. I think it's an interesting one to follow, because he, when you got a guy that was that outstanding of a wrestler, and it's got to be interesting when you're bringing in, he's not getting the top 10 kids in the country coming to Campbell University. So the Fighting Camels are doing good. So I'm always there's never a time that I don't cheer, for the Campbell guys when they're coming along.
They have a 149 and a 165 that I'd say have an outside shot at doing pretty well. Quentin Perez has some good wins. He wrestled really well at the Midlands, and then Josh Heil is Dean Heil.
Josh Heil, yeah, yep.
He can wrestle anybody close. He doesn't have really any big wins, I don't believe, but he gave some guys some close matches at the Midlands. He plays there, I believe, too. But
Yep, I agree.
But it was pretty much. I looked at the results there from the SoCon, and it was like Campbell, and then I just stopped looking at the results after.
Good. Well, hopefully he brings a bunch of guys to the tournament. So
you see how quick we got through that one?
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings at the SoCon, but that's just the way it is.
Yep.
So
let's move. Let's go to the ACC. Definitely.
ACC is probably the most improved conference.
Well, you mentioned this earlier this year. We talked a little bit.
I know you call it a basketball conference, and we got hate mail. I see that we just had a comment. Someone just tuned in. Yes. How many Jackrabbits get in besides the 4 that already made it by the Big 12? I don't think there'll be any more.
What did Danny Vega end up placing? That would be the only one. But he didn't really have a very good tournament, from what I saw. Because Midkiff beat him.
When I looked at it, I think those are the 4 that they're going to get. I really do.
That'd be the only one that I was like.
Danny Vega took 7th, so he's not getting in. McGuire Midkiff was 5th or 6th, and he's not getting in either. So,
was Vega qualified? Was Vega a qualifier though? I think he was.
He may have been.
Not that it matters.
It's a good
120. He was a qualifier. Yep. But down to 7th, he's probably not getting in. You got to remember. Patrick McKee's going to get in. Patrick McKee didn't qualify. He's going to end up getting in.
Think that'll get in? Think he'll get in?
I do. I do. I think he'll get in. Who else? Logan Treaster from Navy didn't qualify. Brandon Kaler from Michael Colloquio from Penn. That's another one.
He'll get one for sure.
He'll get one.
He'll get in.
Nick Aguilar from Rutgers, another one that's got a good chance. So, Eric Barnett from Wisconsin's another one.
Yeah, him too. Yeah, Barnett will get into.
So,
maybe go back. We talked about the Big 12. I was going to say, Jason, if you want to go back, we did talk about the Big 12, but we thought South Dakota wrestled really well. They're really feisty. You were impressed with their, was it 25-pounder?
49.
49.
49.
Yep. 49. I mean, I was in, and I'm, obviously, Zach Carlson was great at 184. And Tanner Sloan is, at 197. So, yeah, I just don't think there's another guy. Like you said, I think Vega would have been the one that was an outside chance, but get, down at 7th.
He'd have taken 5th or 6th, or 5th, you said, right? I think.
What's that? Midkiff was.
If he would have taken, if he would have taken 5th, I'd say he had a good chance. But
I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree.
Okay.
So now we'll go back.
Okay.
Let's go back to. So at 125, how many did they qualify there?
3.
Okay, I'll
how many?
3.
3. So Jacob Camacho of NC State beat Jack Mueller, the number 1 seed.
That's probably the upset of the weekend, honestly. Of the whole.
That was not close. It was 11-4.
So
pretty interesting. Joy Prada of Virginia Tech was 3rd. That's going to be your 3 qualifiers there.
Yeah, Melendez didn't have a good enough year to.
I think that it'll be interesting to see there, but I mean, I still think.
No, those guys from the Big Ten will get those spots.
One
Kolioko is probably ahead of those Big Ten guys, but then.
133, Mickey Philippi of Pittsburgh was your champion. I think, like we talked before, I think he'll probably end up being like the 4 seed.
Yep.
He's
great where he was last year.
And I look for him to have a little better career. How many did they qualify?
Okay. I just had my headphones go dead here a little bit. So if I get a reverb, I'll get headphones here in a second.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, they got 5 at 33.
Louis Hayes. We got Mickey Philippi, Jamie Hernandez, Louis Hayes of Virginia, and Jarrett Trombley of NC State. Then Colin Girardi of Virginia Tech. Those are solid 5 guys.
Yeah, solid 5 guys. 41.
Yeah.
41. I think they only had 3 there.
3 there. Zach Sherman of North Carolina. Tariq Wilson of NC State was 2nd.
And then Cole Matthews from Pitt got 3rd.
Yeah, and
Brent Moore or Mitch Moore. He's a guy that could probably get a wild card at 41, I would think.
Wow, there was only 4 guys in that bracket. Oh, 5.
Duke doesn't have anybody.
So let's go back here. Yeah, I think Tariq has not been the same guy at 141 as he was at 133 at the national tournament a couple of years ago. So at 149, they've got just 2 qualifiers. Two very good guys. Austin O'Connor from North Carolina, and Bryce Andonian from Virginia Tech. I think O'Connor's another one of those. He could make the finals. He'll be somewhere in the top.
Andonian just about talked into his back. I saw in that you went double overs and just about put him on his back. But.
We're going to give John a minute to get plugged in.
Did
No,
you
I'm back.
do you think Mitch Moore will get that wild card at 41 out of the ACC?
41. He took 5th out of 5 guys.
Oh, he did. So probably not.
Let me take a look here and see that bracket. Mitch Moore. Yeah, you know what? Oh no, hold on. Yeah, what the heck? He injury defaulted out. He never wrestled him second. He wrestled 1 second. So
of the whole tournament,
yeah,
he'll get a wild card then. I think
that's very, very possible. He was probably the guy that he probably qualified. He was the 3 seed. Where's my little list here?
That's a good weight, honestly. I mean, none of those. I don't know if any of those guys are all American, but they're solid guys, all of them.
Right. Yep. Yeah, he definitely qualified the spot. And so he will. I think he's got a good chance. And he's a good, solid wrestler. I guess if we don't know how bad hurt he is. That could make a difference. You start getting to this time of the year. 157. Let's see. They qualified. They had 5.
5. Yep.
Talib Ramani.
Talib Ramani from Pittsburgh was 2. Austin Headley of North Carolina was 3. Justin McCoy of Virginia was 4, and BC LaPrade of Virginia Tech is 5. And those are 5 very solid wrestlers. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a couple podium finishes out of those 5. And it could even be as far down as their 5th place finisher. BC LaPrade could surely sneak on the podium. He's very, very good.
Just double checking. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think I can. It should be good.
It's working good now.
No more reverb.
No. 165. I have it that they had 4.
Virginia Tech 2nd. McFadden. I don't know the pit wrestler's name. I can't think of his name, but then it went.
Jake Wenzel.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a 16-3 redshirt junior. Beat McFadden 3-1. McFadden's that one is going to drop McFadden down in the seedings, but I don't think it changes where he places. He's gonna make the podium, and he's gonna be very, very tough for somebody. They it just says here that they qualified 4, yeah, and So Thomas Bullard of NC State's very good. What's that?
Could a McFadden fall out of being seeded? What are they?
Well, seed 30. They seed 33. So
they seed 33. There's not a but like a 16 and then draw them in.
No, not anymore. They seed all 33. But he'll be in the top 12. He
because
he's 21-5.
Him and Fogarty should be battling.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I don't know where that's. I think he was a guy that he wins that match, he's probably in the top 4. Maybe top 5.
Yeah, he's probably ahead of the Oklahoma State kid if he doesn't lose that match. Now he's probably behind him.
Yep. So that's. I think you got a couple guys there, and I surely wouldn't want to, say Jake Wenzel can't play because you just beat McFadden, but I think McFadden and Bullard are your best chances out of there, just based on the rest of the year. But I think that Jake Wenzel obviously is very good too. 174. They had 4 qualifiers. Clay Loud of North Carolina was 1st. Daniel Bullard of NC State was 2nd. Greg Harvey of Pittsburgh was 3rd. And Cody Hughes of Virginia Tech was 4th. Probably, I don't know if we're going to see a qualifier, a podium finish out of that group.
I think so.
I think Daniel Bullard is good, but this is a really good weight here at 184. They qualified only 3, but those 3 are all very, very good. Hunter Bolin was first from Virginia Tech. He's a 24-2 sophomore, and he beat Trent Hidlay in the finals. Hidlay, Nino Bonacorsi of Pittsburgh was 3rd.
That was an overtime match.
Those are 3 of the 12 guys that Nate said can make the finals at this weight.
Yeah.
I mean, they are all really good. Hunter Bolin has had a great year. Hidlay's had a great year. I think that's going to be a really, really fun weight class to watch at the national tournament.
One of those guys is going to get hot and get some bonus point wins and to score a lot of takedowns and make the finals. That's kind of the way I feel about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't doubt that at all. I think that's going to be that weight class is going to be really, really fun. So, 197, they qualified just 1. That's J.I.L.O. of Virginia. That's probably all there is to say about that weight class. 285, they got Pittsburgh's probably maybe their best wrestler at heavyweight, Demetrius Thomas. He's the redshirt senior.
He's kind of an interesting story. He's like a NAIA runner-up and an NAIA national champion, and then he was kind of a hot commodity for some teams that needed a heavyweight.
Yes. Hey, he moves good. He's kind of, he'll be fun to watch there. He'll give some guys trouble. And I actually, I look forward to seeing what they actually qualify 5 out of the ACC at this weight class. So you got Demetrius Thomas from Pittsburgh, Deontay Wilson of NC State was 2nd, John Borst of Virginia Tech was 3rd, Andrew Gunning of North Carolina, I know has had some good wins over the year, and Quinn Miller of Virginia was 5th. So there's your 5 qualifiers at 180 or 285. So what I would say that is all there is about 285.
Okay. That sounds great. Okay, now we are heading to the Big Ten. I think we're finally there.
Hey, just a second. As long as do you have that preview guide somewhere that you can share?
Do you want me to put that up in the back?
Yeah. Why don't you share that quick? As long as
okay, let me open that up.
And I will type in and maybe we'll put this out later too. But I'll type in. I wonder if I can put a comment in here. Look here. I'll type in the address for that.
Yep, I'll open it up here.
So what this is, if we get it up here, which we will.
Yep, I just got to get my PDF up for that. Take me just a half a second. I downloaded it earlier, so it's in my downloads. I should be able to share the screen to it. There, it's opening. Okay.
Here we go.
I just gotta get back to there. Okay, let's go to here, share my screen.
If you can, let me see. I'll try to get this address in here real quick.
Almost got it. My computer's like not wanting to.
Let's see here. Oh, come on.
It's not not let me do it on its Chrome tab. Let me try this one more time here. Making me sign into my other email account, so it'll take me just half a second. So I can have it on the same. We do this. We're opening it up in Chrome for you techie people, and then when I open this up, then it has to be in the same thing for some reason. Here's the attachment. Let's see if I can open it there. There we go. Now I can share that screen. So hold on with this for a second, guys. There it is. Oh, not that one. See if that is it. Okay, there we go.
So here's here's what this is. So there's one of the Jason Bryant, who does a number of wrestling podcasts, one of the top wrestling journalists in the country. He'll be the announcer that we'll all hear at NCAA's, discussing, and doing all the announcements for the PA. He's been the PA announcer at the Olympics last year, be the PA announcement at the Olympics, or 4 years ago. Well, actually every world championship too for the last half a dozen years. So what he does is he has this NCAA Division I championship preview guide. We'll kind of scroll. This is the 2019 edition here, and John will kind of scroll through here, and you'll see this is everything that you would ever want to know about what's going on at the NCAA National Championships, and a lot more. I mean, if you want to have and this is all can be downloaded to your tablet or to a phone. It'll have every single qualifier in there, all of their records, qualifiers by their home state. You can see all the past championship brackets,
individual bios. It's insane. It's 200 and some pages. Look at this.
Yeah,
214 pages.
And it's
back to past brackets.
Resource. Yeah, Jason has done a great job with this. He's probably he's the foremost wrestling historian in the country, and he's used all of that knowledge and time to build this. So if you want a all go-to guide to take with you to the national tournament, or if you're sitting home and you're watching it on TV, I think just about everybody from North Dakota is going anyway. So, but this will give you a lot of information. If you want to have one of those guides that you can win bar bets with, and or you're putting together your fantasy teams for the national tournament, this is the thing you're going to want to have. And John, I put in the private chat there, I put a link. It's usually $20. You use this code and you go to this address, and you'll get it for $15. It's money well spent. It's just something you will really enjoy. So just an opportunity to kind of make your wrestling viewing a little bit better for this national tournament.
So do you want me to post that on the normal chat?
Yeah, just put it on the normal chat, and then we'll put it. Yeah, then it'll be there, forever. But and we will. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But I just think this is I've had this preview guide for a number of years. ESPN, obviously, they use it for all their broadcasts. It's really there's probably nothing that, I shouldn't say that. One of the few things that bother me when I'm watching wrestling, and I watch a lot of it, is when the announcers are announcing things that are incorrect. They always seem to pop out, so information is key, when you have the ability you got all the brackets there. If you want to, the brackets. So this will come out. It'll be available probably at the end of this week. You go to that link, you pay your $15, and as soon as it's available, it'll be emailed to you. you can download it to your phone or to your computer, to your tablet, and you have it forever.
Well, I love this. There's certain things that I'm going to take, actually. I like this coaches poll, what it looked like throughout the year.
Yep.
I like that. That's pretty cool. So it has everyone from the year. It's got all the dual standings from the teams. You know, it's got all the different scores from year to year to year. I mean, this is what you memorized, I think, when you first talked to me, Bill.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if I'd be able to find it today when I thought about it. I talked to Jason and got that code with the, so you can get it for $5 off, and I just think it'll be something that everybody can really enjoy for that amount of money. I mean, the amount of time that Jason puts into this deal is unbelievable, and it'll have. And let's just say that something happens like Nate was saying, you get one of these guys that pops into the bracket at the last minute because someone didn't make weight or gets hurt. It'll be updated. You'll get a new one sent to you. I mean,
he's got all the Twitter links.
All the team Twitter links. Yeah.
So you can go to each, if there's a team you want to follow.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you're 40 pages in there, and
it's got another 160 more pages, but it goes through each team individually. Yep. I did look at that earlier. I was really impressed. It tells who the coaches are, tells you, how many years they've been there, conference, lots of stuff. How many guys they qualified, that's pretty cool. How many All-Americans, they've had. That's all pretty cool. I looked at that earlier when you'd sent that to me. This was one of the most awesome things. It was almost like you gave me a birthday present right here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I recommend everybody go out and get one. I just think it's something that'll make, it'll just make your, your NCAA championship season a little bit better. I think it's $15 well spent, and it's something
we've all spent $15 that we definitely would never need to get back. This is well worth it.
Yeah, no, I think everybody should have one, and like I said, if you're going to the tournament, it's something you can put on your phone, and it's right there. You can bring a tablet with you, or if you're, wherever you're at. So use that link, and if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to send me an instant message or whatever. Reach out to me, and we'll kind of probably mention this again later in the week. But I just think it's something that we should all jump on. So
this is awesome, Nate. This is a great thing. Okay.
Now we're 2 hours in, but if you want to talk about Big Ten,
we'll try to make it as quick as we can.
That would be the time.
Okay. Yes, that's amazing. 2 hours. Yes. Okay. So all those faithful followers and people coming back. I know we got a couple of people still on, coming through Dakota Grappler. We'll make sure. I know I'll have a lot of people go zipping through this and put it at double speed, but we'll make it quick as much as we can for the Big Ten. Again, if you want to catch this link for this nice little guide so that you can buy one off the far side, you can see it right there, wrestlingpreviewguide.com/JB, and he is the author. So right there. Yep. Okay, awesome. Okay. Back to us three for a little bit. Hey, that's a different view. There we go. Okay, I don't know. Oh, I got take it in the three this way. Okay, so the Big Ten. Let's make it quick. I was so pumped up for everything this whole year. The Big Ten Network was like one of my best channels I'd watch on my television all year long. They had wrestling matches. I would say 3 nights a week. I was watching them on there. I didn't have Flow to begin with, and it just ended up being a better buy. One of those better buy things.
Yeah,
gotta have it.
And it's a gotta have. Yep. That's where I ended up at the end of the season. It's just because guess what? That's the only place you could catch all the Big Ten, finals and all the matches and all the other things. And it's so in depth. That's another thing, guys, that if I had a chance, I'd like to get the guys on from Flow or something sometime, just talk, because it's phenomenal. It's all wrestling 24/7 through them. And
yes, it is. Yeah, those guys. It's unbelievable. Yeah, they've. And don't get me wrong, I have beat on those guys in the past when we've had some problems with streaming or different stuff, but there has been nothing better for the growth of this sport in my mind than what those guys have done. Flo has given us the opportunity to watch, every single Big Ten match, every single EIWA match, at these tournaments, and it's so, even if you start talking about, so we had the Big 12 was in Tulsa, and you were able to watch the finals on Fox, and I think you could have watched other matches on if you had the Fox Sports app, but it's just about unusable. So always done it. They've been through some growing pains through the years, but they've done a great job recently, and it's just nice to be able to kind of watch as much wrestling as you want to watch, right? As much or as little. You can go and watch. You can go and pick up the bracket and pick out one match. You want to go watch the RBY Alara's match. You do it. So it's been great, and I think that, John, you probably found that also.
Well, I was very giddy. Yes.
And those guys, they're around it every weekend, so it's not like you have some of these Fox Sports guys or ESPN guys sometimes that just follow wrestling for 3 weekends out of the year. These guys they live and breathe it, like you said, too.
That is true. Very true. So let's
make
a quick synopsis
in the Big Ten. Should we get started?
Absolutely. Let's get it going.
Yes, definitely. Big Ten time, guys. This is it.
Spencer Lee and everybody else is just there.
Yes. Now, let's start right down at 25 with our number one guy in the nation. Probably would be one of the first picks in a draft, Spencer Lee. What do you think there? Because he dominated again. He did have a guy from Purdue in the finals, which is nothing against him, but he almost teched him. I thought he was going to tech him, and
well, the last time they wrestled, he teched him 17-0 in the first period. So Schroeder obviously made some great gains to try to make it through an entire match. But this is Spencer Lee's weight class, and everybody else is just living in it. So
he did a lot more catch and release this weekend. One thing about how he wrestled, and I watched an interview with him, and he wasn't so he knows now, and in getting ready for the Olympic trials too, that he's got to take some of these guys down 2, 3, 4 times and soften them up a little bit to get some of his turns, which I thought was a good thing for him. I don't know.
Yeah. He's a generational talent. We're lucky to be able to watch him go through this. I guess it's notable to say that he's a 2-time national champion. That was his first Big Ten title.
Still amazing to me. Yes.
So that's good. I think I don't know that there's a lot more to talk about at that weight class. I mean, obviously Devin Schroeder, is the second best guy at that weight. He was the 2 seed coming in. Probably the biggest question mark there was Patrick McKee was the 3 seed. I think that, and he'll end up probably getting a spot. But that, I don't know if anybody was watching that match between McKee and Devin Schroeder early in the year when McKee hurt his knee.
His knee's pretty bad. Yeah,
it was bad, and he was really dominating that match with Schroeder. I think he may have been ahead 5-1 or something like that, and then
really tough. Yeah, I was watching the match.
Ended up getting tech fault, but he finished the match. He toughed it out, but yeah, it was
hard to watch.
It was really hard to watch, and so I hope that obviously I hope that he can come back and make the tournament and come on strong, but that's going to be I don't know. So,
and you think about it, and the Big Ten is allotted the most in this one, allocated, I guess, and that's 8. If you think right away, you're at 125, so it goes deep.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of talent there, and even if I think of the last rankings, the Big Ten had, Schroeder was just at 6, but you had so many, of course. McKee from Minnesota, just a freshman there. He had been ranked a long time during that. Medley had been ranked earlier for that. Jack Medley from Michigan.
Yeah.
It's I can't think of anybody else right away. Oh, Aguilar, even in there, was ranked well from Rutgers.
Yeah, D'Agostino from Northwestern has been up there, and he actually has made some. He was 6th seeded in this and took 3rd. Had a good tournament. He's very good. He can do some damage.
Good on top with the legs. He rides the legs real good.
Yeah. That actually Liam Coleman from Indiana beat Alex Thompson and for fifth, and that Thompson is tough. It's not a super deep weight class for the Big Ten. I mean, a lot of times the Big Ten, they'll have 8 qualifiers at 25, and there's 8 guys you think can make the finals. Here, you've got one guy that probably can make the finals. Well, and the rest of them are, But you've got, when you start talking about that weight class, we've kind of did it before already. But Patrick Gloriot from Princeton and Piccinini from Oklahoma State, and I would have said Jack Mueller. I guess I still will say Jack Mueller from Virginia are the other guy, probably the top 4 there. But yeah, that weight class is all Spencer Lee, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Mueller, if you drop into the 4, he would hate that, after losing this weekend.
Yeah. So, 133, that's a super bracket, right? I mean, this is the one that we all were waiting for.
This is going to be a great weight class.
Yeah, you got your 4 top seeds here were Sebastian. Well, Seth Gross was 1. RBI was 2. DeSanto was 3, and Seabass was 4. The Seabass
was 5.
Seabass was 5. Seabass
not that it matters.
Piotrowski was 4, which was right. Seabass missed quite a bit of time. He had 2 losses. He lost to Gross at the Midlands in a crazy match, and then he had an injury default loss to Piotrowski. But yeah, 4 or 5 guys were yeah, you're right. And actually when you go all the way down to they had the top 8 seeds placed in the top 8, and those top 8 guys are all pretty good. So
did Silva get a wild card at the number 8?
Did they have 7 qualified?
7, yeah.
Yeah,
7.
I think he probably will. I mean, he didn't have a lot of matches. He had a good tournament here. I think there's a good chance he does. I don't know who else got. I wonder who. I guess it'll depend on who. What happens sometimes is you don't know who.
Yeah, who
has to steal the spot, right? Yeah. Well, Todd Small.
He'll probably go ahead. I mean, Todd Small would be ahead of him because.
Yep. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 guys there that had qualified spots and had their and didn't qualify. So, how many did they give for allocations? Did they have 20?
I'll tell you how many. 29.
29. Yeah. He probably not going to make it. There's going to be 4. There's 4 there that qualified their spots. Yeah, he probably doesn't make it. Which that happens if you don't wrestle a lot of matches. So, but that shows you how important that 7th place match was of him and Ridge Levitt. So, but you go back and
tell me about the Seth Gross match.
Which one?
I didn't
they were all exciting.
Seth Gross and Sebastian Rivera.
Right.
Seth came out, got the first takedown.
First 2.
I think you're right. I think it was the first 2 takedowns. Seth looked
good, real good,
pretty good. And I surely wouldn't have said that Seth ran out of gas or anything like that. It's just Seabass kept coming and ended up getting takedowns. He got a ride out.
He was really methodical. Rivera was he got a takedown at the end of the second, and he got a takedown in the third, I want to say, and he was really methodical about how he shelved the leg and climbed up and didn't allow for Gross he got rolled under once in a scramble, and then he finished a little slower and way more clean and got those 2 takedowns. And yeah, I usually don't see Seth Gross taken down that easily. I mean, it wasn't easy either, but without a little scramble involved. And yeah,
right. Yep. So Rivera won 7-6, but it was a good match, and I could surely see it going the other way the next time. I mean,
this could be a non-Big Ten national champion somewhere. This bracket's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I think
Big Ten
I think
guy.
Big Ten's coming out of this. I think your national champ's coming out of this weight class. I actually think no matter how they get seeded at the national tournament, I think that these 4 semifinalists in the Big Ten are going to be your 4 semifinalists at the national tournament.
Wow.
So on the bottom half there, you had DeSanto and Robin Bravo Young wrestled a tight match, 3-2. Again, RBY went out, got the first takedown, and DeSanto got 2 escapes, and that was it.
And Bravo Young jumped on DeSanto out of bounds. That was kind of exciting.
Yeah, it was
now this is me being an Iowa homer, but if DeSanto does that, he gets a penalty point. And he rightly has a reputation now, but now everybody tries to get him back for kind of being the heel, and I'm getting sick of it, kind of like
right.
They're trying to get it's like trying to get a reaction out of a bully essentially. So I guess I kind of understand it, but
yeah,
I don't know. I wasn't there for that. Like,
well,
come on.
Then in the final, Seabass just kind of kept going, and then took out, RBY.
We were talking about it before the show started, but I'd like RBY is definitely the fastest guy.
He's got to attack more.
Wrestling, and I'd like to see him use it more for attacks instead of for scrambling. And I mean, he does attack a lot, but he could attack more.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So I think in my mind, I think your national champ's going to come out on one of those 4. I'll pick him. I'll make my pick on
the pick night.
On the pick night, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be one of those 4. So it was a great bracket. Every match. I mean, there was a lot of good wrestling. There was good wrestling prior to the semifinals. The Gross Silva match was a good match. The Rivera Piotrowski match was a good match. DeSanto Ridge Levitt was a 1-0 match.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Roman Bravo Young and Sammy Alvarez was phenomenal.
Seth Gross versus Alvarez was a great match too.
In the backside.
On the backside, that was a good match.
Yep. So then you ended up, I guess, Seth Gross ends up with DeSanto in the 3rd place match and wins that. And that's another good match. So this is a bracket of really a lot of great athletes. Really fun to watch. A number of different really different styles. You probably have those 4 guys all kind of wrestled different. And then you have just it's crazy. So you've got a national champ in there. You've got a number of All-Americans, and you're gonna see.
I'd go so far as to say that I think all 7 of those guys could place. It's highly unlikely, but I'd say there's a probably 80% chance that 6 of those out of those 7 guys All-American.
Just on how the bracket works out, you never know.
Yeah, just on how the bracket works out. I mean, I think Ridge Lovett has a great chance to place, and Alvarez too. Alvarez is a tough out. He can scramble. I don't know about Piotrowski. I haven't seen enough of him this year. He's a good wrestler, but man, those are all 7 really, really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. You got Chaz Tucker out of Cornell, and you got Nicky Philippi out of Pittsburgh, and then
those Big Ten guys, yeah.
Well, what is the most? Has there been a bracket where 6 guys have placed out of a conference?
I'm sure.
I'm sure it's happened in the Big Ten multiple times. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you had
7,
8 Big Ten guys. I have to. You know what? We can find it. We got it in the preview guide.
Yeah, I might have to find it somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's in there. So that's 133. It's the best bracket probably of the year. Really a lot of fun, and I think they're going to be really fun at the national tournament too.
Sure.
So.
And it didn't even have Dayton Fix, Suriano or Micic this year. And it was still the most this weight class in 184 are well worth your price of admission.
Absolutely. Yep. And heavyweight.
Hey, and over on the Grappler on the wrestling message board, there's a couple of people still selling tickets. If you haven't quite got yours yet, I do know somebody else that has 2 tickets. If you want to sit with the Oaks people, they're fun. I guarantee they don't mind their adult beverages. They did have 2 available. Rick, I could talk to me actually. I could get you the contact. If somebody needs tickets or something, couple, they're sitting good section. In fact, somebody on the Grappler had some down in row 11, in one section. So there's
yeah,
a few
it'd
on
be
there.
big fun. Good with big fun. So 141.
Now, question before you even mention this.
Yep.
Did you expect this championship? It was a 6-5, and Lee, this is one that they're going back and forth. It's
it just went one way. Yeah, it went back and forth. Now, did I expect it? No, I expected Nick Lee to win.
I guess I would say the opposite. I kind of expected Pletcher to get this one because Nick Lee in the past has been a favorite, and he always kind of drops a match that you wouldn't expect him to drop. That's the only reason I said that.
Yeah, no, I surely would have said that. It's one of those 55-45 deals. I surely thought that Pletcher could win that match. He's beginning of the year. If we went back, you probably saw me talking about Pletcher is not nearly as glowingly as I would today. He's way more offensive this year than he's ever been. He's a great scrambler. And he looked different, I thought, in this match than he did in the one at Penn State here last month.
That was such a hard hand fight. It was in the duel too, but I was just watching that hand fight was so hard in this match. So hard hand fight.
Yep. And so good match, a lot of fun. There's those are those are your two guys that are going to be in the finals at the national tournament. I think the other guys that could somebody that if there was anybody going to stick their head in there, it would be Real Woods out of Stanford. He had an overtime match with Luke Pletcher earlier in the year, but I think that those are going to be the two guys in the finals, and it was fun. I look forward to it. I look forward to watching it, and it was good match.
Mm-hmm.
Your qualifiers there. How many did we have here?
8.
8. Yeah. 8. So Luke Pletcher, Nick Lee, Chad Red took third. He looks good. He's
Nebraska.
Dangerous.
He gave Nick Lee a good match too. He's a dark horse.
He is really good. And this is his time of the year. And you get. It almost sounds weird to say that, but it happens every year. This is a third year in a row that he gets hotter and hotter as the year goes on, and he could pin you from anywhere. He did beat Nick Lee in the state finals of his high school tournament his junior year, or Nick Lee's junior year. But this is a different Nick Lee. So Tristan Moran from Wisconsin was 4th. Max Murin from Iowa all the way down at 5th.
I was not happy with that one.
Mitch McKee was 6th. He wrestled a number of, he wrestled, it seemed like he was wrestling every time he turned the TV on.
They wrestled twice in the tournament for 5th place.
There's another one. This is another weight where the Big Ten could get 6 All-Americans, and for the sake of all those guys that we just mentioned, I hope they all place. Because
I do too. Yep. And that we said they get 6.
They get 8 out of this.
And get 8. So Dylan Duncan from Illinois and Parker Phileas from Purdue. Those two guys are probably going to be on the outs, but those other 6 I expect to place. I would.
Phileas is a Montana. Phileas is another Montana kid too.
He is. Yes.
Haver, I believe.
Yeah. So that's a great weight class with two guys that kind of separate themselves at the top, but there's a lot of good guys in there that are fun to watch. Okay. 149. How many qualifiers?
10.
10. Wow.
This is one of those where they wrestle out to a true 10.
They wrestle that mini tournament, and interesting. I didn't know. I kind of was watching how they figure out that after number 8, how they figure out 10th or 11th place, and they just reseed the guys with the same place the same seed that they had in the championship bracket, and then they just wrestle out a mini tournament the same way. So they don't reseed it after the entire tournament is over. They just wrestle a tournament with the same seeds, and whoever comes out and top there is.
Yeah, they just call it the 9th place bracket. Yep. And so Pat Lugo was your champion. He won a real close match, obviously 2-1 over Sammy Sasso.
That's back and forth now.
Yeah. That match could go the other way the next time too. I mean, that's a
senior versus a freshman.
That came down to the first period takedown, and then Lugo put a hard ride on Sasso, and
Yep.
And then Sasso put a hard ride on Lugo. It was a good, fun. It was. I mean, if you like mat returns, it was a good match.
Yeah. Sasso is, he kind of depends on scoring off other people's shots. Lugo doesn't take a lot of shots, so that's becomes a challenge. Sasso can score from top. He can, he's got a real good cradle. And so those are those things that can kind of blow a match open fast. But the 10 that qualify then are.
And then Purnton took third from Nebraska. He had an amazing tournament. I think he was a 7 seed.
He was great. Yeah, he looked huge. But he really wrestled a good tournament.
He beat Brayton Lee I watched that match over my lunch hour today. He beat Brayton Lee for 3rd and 4th.
Yep. Brayton Lee was 4th. Kanan Storr from Michigan was 5th. Griffin Perriott, Minnesota kid from Purdue, was 6th. Alex Heropoulos from Michigan State was 7th. Cole Martin from Wisconsin was 8th. And Jared Verclaren came all the way back and got 9th. He won that 9th place bracket. He wrestled a pile of matches that day or that weekend. And then Graham Rocks from Indiana was 10th. And I'm not sure that they couldn't get another qualifier here.
Get another one, I'm thinking.
Yaya Thomas from Northwestern was 11th.
Michigan State had a good tournament too. I don't know who that Michigan State guy is. And he's
one I don't know, but yeah, he took 7th. He was seeded 12th. So you have, let's see, there must be 2 here that didn't. So they have 10. 10.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if Yaya didn't qualify. He almost took out Sasso in the quarters. I watched that whole match.
Yep, 5-4. Yeah, I kind of think I think he'll get in.
Junior World Team member. Not that counts for NCAA, but
right. Yeah, no, he's good. He looked really good. So that's a fun bracket. I think that's going to be a really interesting one at the national tournament. I got my pick for that one too. So
yeah, that should be a fun bracket.
157. Ryan Deacon is the class of the weight class in the Big Ten and maybe in the national tournament. From Northwestern, he looks really, really good.
He has hollow bones. I don't know how he makes one.
He is. I don't either. He's huge. He is a monster. I mean, his arms are 12 feet long, and
I'd like to see how he does against some of these 65-pounders. Him and Hidley too. I mean, I think they do good up at 165.
Yep.
Deacon might be a force to be reckoned with in the on the senior level. I really think in the next couple cycles.
He made Final X last year at 70 kilograms.
But at 74, if some of these guys decide to hang it up after this year, I think he might be our guy in the next couple of years.
Yep. So he was the 1 seed, and Caleb Young from Iowa was the 2 seed.
2 in barbecue is what his seed was.
He did. He was 2 in barbecue. That's what he did. Yeah. He is. That was. So how many?
He's not sick or hurt or something. He's not. No, it's not noticeable, but he's just not as offensive.
He lost his last dual match. He lost his last dual meet to Wyatt Sheets from Oklahoma State. Went 0-2 here. He lost.
They only get 6.
They get 6.
He'll get a wild card though.
I think he'll get a wild card just based on the rest of the season.
National semifinalist from the year prior.
I might cry if he doesn't get one.
Ryan Deacon is first. Kendall Coleman from Purdue is second. Kendall Coleman's really good. Peyton Robb was the 7 seed. He took 3rd. Peyton Robb is a Minnesota kid.
Gunslinger.
He is fun to watch. You just can't take your eyes off him. He'll go out and be 0 to 0.
It's very hard.
15 seconds in, and he's going double overs throw. He's fun. He's fun to watch. Baroni from Illinois was 4th. Will Luan from Michigan was 5th. He wrestled a really good tournament. He was actually seeded 4th, but he took 5th. But I thought he looked pretty solid.
Freshman, yeah.
Yep. Jake Tucker. And you said we get 6?
Yep.
Jake Tucker from Michigan State was 6th. So that's another qualifier for Michigan State. And Tucker was the 6th seed going in. I think
Barone stole the spot there.
But so did Peyton Robb.
Oh, Peyton Robb did too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Barone did not then.
Barone was the 8th seed. Yep.
Who else lost the spot then? Young and somebody else.
I was looking here to see who it was. Ryan Thomas from Minnesota.
Really?
He would.
They could have 2 wild cards there.
He would be close. I think he I wonder how far they wrestled this. Did they wrestle they didn't wrestle a 9th man bracket. Yeah. No, he's pretty good. You know, he's a Ohio kid. Actually, when you watch him wrestle, Ohio does not as a state do not spend a lot of time wrestling on the mat. And you can see that in his wrestling.
Their neighbors, Pennsylvania, that's all they do.
Yeah, it's a glaring difference there. You got a freshman, like that in Ryan Thomas, but I think he's pretty good. I've kind of watched. He didn't come out. I probably was not in the starting lineup definitely was not in the starting lineup till after the first of the year. So, but couldn't get 2 wild cards there. 165, boring bracket. Vincenzo Joseph was a 1 seed, Marinelli the 2. Had a wild match, 3-2 match. I could watch those guys wrestle every day. And if it was even 3-2, you would think that's a boring match. There was a ton of activity. It's unbelievable, and you could just watch the wheels turning in their heads. And Marinelli kind of said it afterwards. He just loves competing with that guy, and it's a great match. And we mentioned that Spencer Lee just won his first Big Ten title. Joseph is a 2-time national champion, 1-time runner-up. Has
never won the Big Ten.
Will never win the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Those guys hit both those guys' hips. If you want to talk about not necessarily like hips for scrambling purposes, but if you want to talk about feeding a guy hips, like when a guy gets in on an attack, they feed hips like nobody's business. And then Marinelli reminds me a lot of like a guy like Andrew, how he just pulls and pulls and pulls on a guy's head, and then they can't keep their stance maintenance anymore, and that guy rises out of their stance a little bit. It might take him 7 minutes to get you out of your stance, but he does it. And pop double. Not a lot of people are explosive enough to get that pop double or pop single that he gets, but he gets it somehow. Not much penetration, but he just pops and gets to the leg.
No, so how many qualifiers here?
8.
8, yeah. So Marinelli was 1. He'll be the 1 seed at the national tournament. Joseph was 2. We've kind of talked about this. We don't know where they'll end up, but he was the 2. He's 2. Isaiah White had a good tournament. He was the 4 seed coming in. He took 3rd. Ethan Smith from Ohio State really took 4th.
Bracket buster there.
Well, he was the 5th seed.
I mean at the nationals.
Oh yes. He's Shane Oster from Northwestern was 5th. Danny Brownagel from Illinois was 6th. That's a kind of one of those kids that we've seen grow up over the years. Going to Central Northern Plains and that preseason nationals, postseason nationals, that kind of stuff. So it's fun to see those Brownagel boys wrestle. Drew Hughes from Michigan State was 7th. And Tyler Messenger from Michigan was 8th. So, did you say we get how many?
8.
Bailey O'Reilly
need a wild card.
Bailey O'Reilly was 9th. They wrestled up to that 9th man bracket there too. That O'Reilly, he was 8 seed coming in. Evan Wick, this is the kind of the big one. Obviously, he was the 3 seed, probably ranked number 3rd, 4th in the country. Injury defaulted 1 second into the first match and bowed out of the tournament. Going to need a wild card. I don't think there'll be any problem in getting one. And hopefully he's not injured bad. I guess it's obviously he needed some time off. So
I wonder what would happen too this is probably an easy thing, but what if it was skin? Would he even have been allowed to step on the mat? I thought that immediately too, because it was when I saw they said unforeseen medical condition. So I was a little bit like, unless he hurt it in warm-ups or something, maybe he got hurt in warm-ups. But if it was skin, which was when I heard unforeseen medical condition, that's the first thing that came to my mind. But yeah, I bet they wouldn't even have let him step on the mat if it was skin.
Right. I would. Yeah, probably not. You generally don't make it to the scale.
Right. Yeah.
I would guess. Yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I kind of wonder if we'll hear from Ben Askren on Flow tomorrow. Maybe if it's something like that, right? I mean, if it's a knee skin or a shoulder or elbow, they're probably not going to say. He wouldn't say anything. But if it was a concussion, that was kind of my thought, was possibly concussed, in the warm-ups or the day before, or something, because it was, I heard.
You really didn't hear anything going up to the tournament that he was hurt or banged up or anything.
No, not at all. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope he's okay, and I hope we see him at the national tournament. I like watching him wrestle. He's fun to watch, and he's always dangerous, and we can't, now what'll happen. He'll end up being like the 8 seed or something, and him and Marinelli will wrestle in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
They've wrestled 75 times, and that's I almost guarantee you that's what'll happen.
Right.
So yeah, that's 165. Great bracket. I think your champion's going to come at Minneapolis. Is going to come out of the Big Ten. It's going to be one of those two guys, I'm guessing. But I don't know. I surely have a hard time cheering against Marinelli, but I really, really like Vincenzo. So
right.
Okay. 174.
Another Big Ten champion coming here.
Yeah, Michael Kemmer is a 1 seed. Mark Hall is a 2 seed. Obviously, Kemmer beat Hall early in the year at the duel.
You think
Mighty
it'll go
took
Kemmer
third
or Hall for 1?
What's that? Oh,
Why
Hall. Hall will be 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Lighty gave Hall a good match. I kind of expected that. And Kemmer, pretty well dominated through the tournament. That you see the result there in the semifinals with Skatska and Kemmer. It was 22-9, but it was at
12 rip or 14-2 at one point, right?
Yeah, I mean, and Skatska was coming back, and then he ends up getting taken up into his back at the end. But yeah, Skatska was kind of coming on, and Skatska took 5th. He's really kind of fun to watch. He's a hard-nosed wrestler, wrestles hard. But the two best guys in the country are Mark
Labriola and Romero are tough there too. That's another weight class where the Big Ten could have 6 All-Americans, and then Cutler obviously in there somewhere too, probably. But those are probably your 7 best guys.
Anthony Valencia, you just don't know how he's going to show up. If you just tell him it was freestyle, he'd probably win the tournament.
He's a box of chocolates.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. We even watched him at the Senior Open this year. Right in the middle of the freestyle of the collegiate season, and he goes to the Freestyle Open and looks way better than he does
in folk style
before or after wrestling folk style. And he doesn't wrestle. It's not like, I wrestle a style that only works in freestyle. I mean,
It's just doesn't have a turn. Doesn't have a turn in freestyle.
No.
It's bizarre.
It's a real mystery. So, how many qualifiers
on that weight for one? Let's take a look here. 9.
So it's going to be Hall, Kemmer, Dylan Lighty, Caleb Romero, Devin Skatska, Mikey Labriola, Lane Michalski from Michigan State, Joey Gunther from Illinois.
Actually 8. Sorry about that.
It stops right there, Joey Gunther.
Excuse me. I think Big Ten's gonna have 7 All-Americans if that's even possible, and then Lehigh, Cutler. Those are the 8 best guys in my opinion.
Yeah. Gunther took 8th. He's the guy that's going to win a lot of 2-to-1 matches. He was a 7th seed, took 8th here. I think the Michigan State guy may have. Oh no, he was seeded 8th, took 7th. We must have had someone here. Not
well, it is probably 9. It is 9 at 74. I looked at it wrong again. I had to go back.
Oh, Jared Kradiger from Wisconsin is the 9th place guy. So
okay.
He was 10th. He was seeded. Oh, Spaffador from Maryland. Boy,
Maryland went 0-24.
They didn't look very good. Yeah, they didn't look very good. That's a program we got to hope gets turned around. I think they actually have a pretty good coach there. He's pretty new.
The cupboard's pretty bare. The cupboard's pretty bare.
Yeah. 184.
10.
10 at 184.
Yep.
When I look down all 10, they're all very solid guys. But Aaron Brooks was the 1 seed. Cameron Caffey was the 2 seed. I don't know how much you've seen Caffey.
Hard to take down. Hard to take down.
He's almost impossible to take down. I mean, it's
that match with
Assad
and in the semifinals in Caffey. Assad was on his legs the entire time.
Yeah.
But Caffey's splits was incredible. And he's a Greco guy. Supposed to be a big Greco guy. But he can defend legs with the best of them.
He looks almost impossible to take down. So Aaron Brooks looks really, really good. I think
you said, this weight class is wide open.
I think so. You got, let's just say, the 4 guys in the semifinals, right? Aaron Brooks, Taylor Venz, Assad, and Caffey. Those 4 guys could all be in the finals.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't all be in the finals. There's only 2 in the finals, but they could all. Any of those 4 could make the finals. But
then you add in those top 3 ACC guys, and it gets real interesting.
This is going to be a really fun weight class. And you said there's 10, so I'll just say them: Aaron Brooks, Cameron Caffey, Taylor Venz, Abe Assad. Rocky Jordan took 5th. He was seeded 6th. Max Lyon from Purdue, solid. Johnny Sebastian, Wisconsin, is held together with duct tape and paper clips and everything else. I think he's had 6 shoulder surgeries. Jelani Embry from Michigan, another guy that I wouldn't want to wrestle. Zach Braunagel was 9th, and Billy Janzer from Rutgers was 10th, and Janzer's the 5 seed, and he took 10th. So one guy that did not place here was the 11th seed, or was the 11th place guy. Probably will get a wild card. Will be Owen Webster from
Webster. Yep.
He wrestled about 14 matches in the tournament. So
seriously, he did.
Yeah, he wrestled that whole bracket, and then he ended up having to wrestle 3 in the other bracket. So yeah, it's pretty wild. So I always cheer for Owen. So that's fine. He 184, 197. Probably not a real exciting bracket, except for in the quarterfinals.
He's another one of those that'll be like one of the top picks in our draft.
Yeah. Colin Moore's, by far the favorite to win the weight. He's been the favorite to win the weight before. And he seems at times like he could score at will, and then he comes out and can't all of a sudden. It's odd. So we'll be interested to see if he can put together a whole tournament.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy too. If he gets a couple easy takedowns at the beginning, he kind of rolls, seems like.
Yeah.
I did not watch that Eric Schultz match with him in the finals.
He got a couple takedowns, but it wasn't as easy as it normally is for him. Like Schultz is a tough match for him.
Eric Schultz is really good. He's given Moore a tough time in the past.
This is a weight class where some guys from outside the Big Ten have a really good chance to show. Like this isn't the Big Ten's toughest weight class by any means. I do think that Lucas Davidson from Northwestern is a better wrestler than he wrestled Colin Moore in the semifinals, and Moore took it to him a little bit. But Davidson's a junior world silver medalist from last summer, and he's a good wrestler. That'd be a guy if you're in a pick'em contest to watch for.
I thought Rashid looked better. We'll see if he gets better in the next 2 weeks and can make.
He's got duct tape all over him too.
Yeah, he's completely taped up both legs, and but he obviously beat Warner in the quarterfinals 3-1, and then lost to him for third place.
What does he have, about a 500 record on the season?
Rashid?
Yeah. Is he about 5-5? I don't know what. He doesn't have many matches.
No, he doesn't. You know what's crazy is how well, he was the 6th seed coming in. Let's see. Let's just figure it out.
He's got a torn ACL in one knee, and I wonder if the other knee's got a torn ACL too, or if they just tape them both so they don't know which one's jacked up.
Which one to pick on?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but he was. I've always, I guess maybe it's a sentimental deal, but because he's been so much fun to. He is 9-6.
9-6. Okay.
Yep. So
Warner, I am not, like I said, I kind of like root for Iowa now, but that is a guy that is very frustrating for me to watch. I don't know why.
Well, he looks like he should be a world beater, and then he goes and he puts.
Yeah, he doesn't go put points on the. He looks like he could go put points on the board, or he just doesn't.
Stops himself from doing stuff. It is frustrating. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So that's.
But if he could just figure it out, one weekend.
He wrestles good on the backside too. I think he puts like unnecessary. I think he under pressure pressure is a thing for him too, because then he kind of marched through the backside there, from what I understand.
What is he, a junior, sophomore? What is
sophomore?
Sophomore. Couldn't remember.
Okay. Let's see here. I lost my bracket. What the heck did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Here's my bracket. Okay, so so that's about. I mean, that's all there is for 197.
Well, now at 285. This is the match that I was looking forward to at heavyweight.
Yeah,
we didn't get to see it.
We got to see it now.
Yep.
Gable can score whenever he wants to.
Whenever he wants to. It's been that way, and I think that Mason Paris is a freak athlete that moves good. Can score on a lot of people. I just don't think that he's going to be able to score on Mason. I obviously got to take down at the end of the match, but it didn't. It didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter. So I think earlier in the year I said, that I thought that Mason's, or that the biggest problem that Mason's going to have with Gable is, and we didn't see it here because he never really took any real good attacks. But Gable he's the best re-attacker in the game, maybe at any weight, and then of course he can just go get his own takedowns anytime he wants.
Right. I watched the Cassiope and Gable match, and I was just impressed because Gable could have taken it to him even more.
100%. 100%.
That happens a lot, and I think it's I don't know. That's probably frustrates Brendan Ingham a little bit, because you just look at the guy and go, just if you can get 10, if for a guy that can wrestle that good, you just like to see him wrestle more,
Yeah.
But he'll win matches like the Mason Paris match. It's 8-6.
Right.
It didn't look like it was close. It never looked like he was in danger of losing a wrestling match. And he could also it could have been 18-6.
Mm-hmm.
He can take guys down.
It's interesting too. You never really see I would have liked to have seen Paris get to Gable's legs, because you never really, I guess, and I don't even remember with Kassar because those matches were all really close. But what Gable's leg defense is like when somebody gets to his leg, how good he is, because he's got such good head hands position that he always in on those reattacks right away. But you don't really see if somebody does get to his legs, how he fights it off. I was kind of looking forward to seeing that, but you didn't really get to see it very much.
No, and there's no doubt that if Mason is the guy that's in the finals against Gable, that he'll be ready, and those guys in Michigan will have him coming. But I just don't see it happening. I think the more you try to attack him, the more he's going to score. and then if he goes out and gets 1 or 2 or 3 of it, if he gets 2 or 3 takedowns of his own, I don't know how he ever would get enough takedowns to.
You'd have to put him to his back.
Yeah, yeah. And
I don't know how you catch him. He's got such great balance. Gable does. As what's funny is you mentioned this day one that there's no one's going to touch him. You mentioned that one of the first shows, and I'm going, God, I wasn't that impressed before, but man, as I watch him through the season now, it is so tough to score on him, and he's so fast for a heavyweight.
That shows you how good Kassar was to hang with him too.
Yep.
Very true.
So how many qualified here?
Oh, and that one, let me take a quick peek. At heavyweight, it was 7.
7. Okay. So Gable was first, obviously. Mason was second. Cassiope. Trent Hilger from Wisconsin was fourth. I still think that there's a chance that Hilger could beat Paris, just the way that they wrestle.
Yep.
David Jensen was from Nebraska was fifth. Gary Traub from
Gas Tank
Gary from Ohio State was sixth, and Thomas Pinola from Purdue was seventh. So Luffman
like
was
you said,
eighth.
maybe a tough out in that round of 12. That Jensen at times looks really good.
He can get to legs. He kind of rolls around sometimes that he gets himself in trouble. I feel like he'll flip himself over, get himself like he pursues a little too hard and doesn't put his hips down hard on some of these big heavyweights.
Right.
But he can get to attacks, and he's quick.
Yeah, worth probably mentioning. Seth Nevels from Penn State, injury defaulted out of the tournament. Wrestled the first match, got hurt. I did not see that match, so I don't know what the injury was. But he defaulted out of the tournament. He was the 7th seed. I don't know if he's done for the year. Or if he could get a wild card.
Okay. Get an 8th one.
But it obviously hurt him. It obviously, hurts the team. They needed those points. But team wise, that was Iowa cruised 157.5 points.
And our big surprise, second place.
Something like their 36th Big Ten championship.
Nebraska wrestled really well.
Nebraska looked great.
And I think I don't know if part of me says they could do better, but then they get a guy like Purrington to finish third. And I don't know, just like with they have some guys that like a Chad Red's a guy that you could see taking third at nationals, just like he took third at Big Tens. Like they're kind of maximized in a lot of areas, but I think a kid like Ridge Lovick could finish higher if he got really hot at NCAAs, and they do have a Eric Schultz. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how much better they could do, but I think they could replicate it. Is what I'm.
They
I'm trying to
maximize their points very well in the Big Ten. What you're saying.
It's always interesting, when you see that's like even a few years there when Penn State was on their roll, they didn't win the Big Ten tournament, and then as the tournament gets bigger, these points change a little bit, and
they spread out.
And I think a lot of that has to do with having guys in the finals.
Right.
Penn State will probably have 3 in the finals. Probably. You don't know.
If Nebraska gets 8 or 9 All-Americans, they'll be right there. But if they only get 5, obviously.
Yep.
But I do think that's in the margins for Nebraska to do that again.
Yeah, but we've been wondering who that all year. We kind of thought that the top 2 when you get to the end of the year was going to be Penn State and Iowa, and you're wondering who those other couple trophy teams are. And is it Nebraska? Is it Minnesota? Is it Wisconsin? Is it NC State?
I don't think it's Wisconsin anymore after watching this weekend.
Holy cow! Yeah, and Minnesota too really struggled.
Yeah, I think Purdue. I think Purdue could do it if they put maybe not, but at 125 they have a chance to put a guy on the podium. At 149 they'll probably score some points with Perriott, but 157 they'll have probably an All-American. 174 they should have an All-American, and 197. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a dogfight for those team trophies.
Yep, it will be. Yeah, it will be. Which is good. It should be, right?
Right.
yeah, Rutgers really, really down, after having such a big year last year. But yeah,
how about like a Princeton?
Princeton, yeah, Princeton actually could be. They could be fighting for a trophy for sure.
Yep.
I think
25,
Princeton,
49, 57,
NC State,
97.
Those are probably the ones, right? I would have thought Arizona State at one point, but I think that obviously ship has sailed.
Yeah. Ohio State's got enough.
Ohio State, yes, Ohio State.
They might not have all Americans, but they're gonna have a lot of guys that are in the blood round. I feel like everybody on their team will probably win them. Everybody on their team that made it to nationals, I think they got 7 or 8, will probably win at least one match. I think, if not 2.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they do a good job over there, obviously. They could have a yeah, it's funny. They could have a finalist for sure, or they could have one All-American. They could have 2 finalists. I mean, they could have one for sure. They could have 2.
I could see Smith. I could see Smith placing. I could see I could also see at 165. I could also see Romero placing at 174.
Yeah. Yep.
Decatur didn't make the tournament for them.
No. Well, he's too small. Rocky Jordan, you never know. It's interesting me watching. This is getting really in depth, probably, but Rocky Jordan, I'm watching him wrestle, and he gets chin dropped to his back, sucked back to his back, and I've watched both of his brothers have the same thing happen to him over the last 6-8 years, and it's just like, what in the world? How is that possible?
There's an Ohio is not very good on bottom.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That was the answer to my question when I said it to myself. I thought, how is that possible? These guys are, on this, but it, yeah, I mean, how many times do you see it? You don't see it 5 times a year and watching 1,000 D1 matches. And I watch those guys. I've seen it. All 3 brothers happen, and they're good, obviously, and coached by the best coach probably in the state of Ohio. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Well, guys, I tell you what, we went like 3 hours almost. That is amazing.
It'll
happen this time of year.
That's it.
You gotta love the sport. And again, guys, if you have a chance, I know we're running toward the end. We're gonna make some predictions later this week. I think once the brackets come out, we both absorb those, or all of us absorb them. Love you on again, Nate. That's awesome. We'll make, like I said, if we have to go adult beverage or a steak dinner, guys.
Are you considering? Are you going to D2s in Sioux Falls, Bill? Or
I'm not. I'm obviously going to D1s the next week.
Right.
So I'm not. Obviously, if Billy qualified, I'd be going. But
right.
But it's just you got to pick your battles, and I have to work.
No, I totally get it. We don't have school on Friday, so I'm considering.
Yeah,
that'll be a good tournament.
Let's take 2 seconds and mention how you had another Carrington kid qualify though.
Yeah, Walker Carr qualified. He was obviously he wasn't the starter until the Wednesday before the tournament. The last duel of the year, James Burks got hurt against Mary, hurt his knee, and just I kind of think he could have gone, but I don't when you can't do anything, I just don't think he could have made weight. To be honest, I mean that's what it comes down. You don't get to work for 10 days. I mean it makes it tough, and so Wednesday, it was about Wednesday, I think the Walker got the. I mean, he knew there was a chance. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That he was going to end up there, and he wrestled a great tournament. He was, came in unseeded, took 3rd, and a really tough bracket and in a tough super region, and so it was awesome. It was a fun day. It was exciting.
Mm-hmm. So you were just right next door to me all day. I was at the.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there, glued to my seat.
And I talked to the previous night. I was with actually Oaks broadcaster. I was with him quite a bit.
Oh.
And I was also with Jim Mikowski from Mankato. And his final result wasn't what he wished to happen in that tournament by any means either.
Oh, it's a tough tournament, obviously. Nate. You know that it's a meat grinder, and there's just a lot of great matches, and I saw a lot of things that happen that they just blow your mind every time you see it, and it's probably it's a tournament in that super region that I'll probably try to go to every year, because it's as good a wrestling tournament as there is in the country. And it'd be way more fun if you weren't emotionally invested.
Yeah.
So it's a great tournament, and it didn't go our way that day, but it was not for lack of trying. You know, we got another kid that's taped together, and had 6 matches.
It's a grind. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just the way things go. You know, I mean,
and it's too bad. It's really too bad that just like speaking from my perspective, that's right. Everybody knows too, but one tournament, it's for all the marbles. And it's not an excuse. But these D1 guys, they can have a bad tournament and be the 2 seed and take 8th place, and they can still make it to nationals, and that's not the case at all for
No. It was just and I surely don't want to spend a lot of time, but it's just a matter of kind of an example, right? So Billy's a 3 seed, had an okay year, not had some injuries or whatever, but his first round match was against a guy last year that qualified for the tournament. He wins that, but his second match is for a guy that is against a guy that 2 years ago was an All-American. And these 2 guys one's unseeded and the other one's the 6th seed. And so there's no easy. It's just basic, and that happened in every bracket, right? I mean, it's just that one. Sure. I can just tell you what happened. I can tell you all of them probably, but so it really is a good wrestling tournament. It's fun to watch, but it was a long day.
Probably an emotional day for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Well, we got another year, got another shot. So hopefully we can get the body healed up and go forward. He fought hard and it's good. College wrestling stuff. It's we talk. That's why sometimes when I look at these guys and I see this guy took 7th at the tournament, he's probably not going to do nothing at D1s. This is a tough. I mean, I know when I say it that it sounds stupid to me, because but you're looking at it from a really, really high level looking back down, but these guys are all warriors and they battle harder every day in practice than most of us would ever be able to even understand. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why I love the sport, I guess, and I like to see what these guys can all accomplish, and I look forward to watching them here over the next few weeks. Awesome. at the highest level, but I have no problem saying that these top guys at D2 are competitive. I mean, they really go hard, so and they this is the time of year when you're watching wrestling tournaments. It happened at the high school tournaments, and it's going to happen it happened at Big Tens, and I watched it happen at D2s. That you watch a guy lose his last match and you just know that's it. Mm-hmm. That hurts. And you just, that's the one that you don't look forward to.
So true. Blood round. You've got it on your shirt tonight.
Yeah. Blood round. So that's so anyway, we'll wrap up tonight, but look forward after those brackets come out. We can kind of peruse them a little bit, get some picks and have some fun. And
we'll have a little shorter show for sure.
I think so.
Thank you so much again, both you guys. Everybody that watched and watching later, thanks again. Go over, check out that wrestling preview guide, wrestlingpreviewguide.com. I'd love for him to get more of this because that is a phenomenal thing he put together for the sport. Other than that, catch a lot of you guys down at the D1s in Minneapolis, but we have another show coming up just to talk about those. You guys have a great night. Appreciate everything. You guys promote wrestling. Go have a good
Sounds great. Thanks.